And what is up, everybody? It is Chris Akin back once again with another edition of Chris Akin Presents. And
welcome back, Mr. Akin.
Well, thank you, Sand Digger. My goodness, the Sand Digger's greeting me.
How was your week? Is your butthole still crying from the bagogi I spiked?
Still crying there, Sand Digger.
Well, I'll tell you, tonight's a special occasion because I have some family in town.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, well, you know, my brother Elux is here. Hi. It's my evil twin brother. And we're making dinner tonight. We're making your favorite.
What are we eating?
Bagogi night.
I like
you
it.
Come over? Yeah, welcome back, buddy.
What is wrong with you? Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Good.
I'm definitely glad to be in the chair. Although you guys damn near replaced me last week, so I was not needed at all.
Bullshit.
It was fun. Look, I ain't gonna lie, it was fun to just sit back and watch. It really was kind of just fun to sit back and watch. And
you like my evil character I came up with in the last second?
Do. The Sand Digger. I like him.
Right. That was part of my week. Of course, that I have these shovels that, you know, Susan calls sand diggers.
Right.
Which is hilarious. But we had fun with that. We blended that in. And initially I had a whole like song I was gonna do. I had like a whole spoof on Winger 17 and Little Susan. I was actually like, I had two songs going. I had like a Winger one where I kind of messed with that song where I was kind of like, this is the Chris Akin Presents. It was like, Chris Akin, the show you love like you've never seen. But the problem is Kip wouldn't have fucking liked that, and Seth wouldn't have gotten it, and only you would have appreciated it. And then the order was different from what I thought. Like I thought it was going to be Frank coming up first. And so I had these lyrics that were kind of going to reflect that and then move on. So it just effed everything up. So I was like, all right, I got to come up with something else here last minute. So I thought of the evil villains from my childhood, from all the cool villains that we had. Like, for example, I loved G.I. Joe when I was a wee lad. And like that cartoon had awesome villains like Cobra Commander. He had like, he sounded like a snake when he talked. He was like, welcome to the Chris Akin Presents. You know, and, you know, I was thinking like today we're like stuck with lame villains, you know? Like Fauci's like, yeah, trust me, trust the science. Or you got like Bill Gates, you know, he's just kind of a nerd. He's just like, yeah, you know, with the vaccines, we're going to lower the population by 30%.
And if that don't do it, then we'll just buy up all the farmland so you can't have any food. It's no problem.
That's right. You're only going to want my products because all yours will be poisoned.
That's right.
That kind of sucks. I want the like, we're going to take over your show. Put some mandates in. You know, just get all Cobra Commander on our shit.
Right.
But, and I also was like thinking, about when I jumped ship on G.I. Joe as a kid, and it was around the time that they brought in the evil twins.
Right.
Like they had these evil twins. One was called Tomax and one was called Saymot, which was Tomax backwards. And I was like, and then they brought in Sergeant Slaughter, and I'm like, I'm out.
Yep, that's it. Dude, has there ever been a good show that brought in twins? I say no.
I say no also. What I tried to do tonight was with my family joke. If I have to explain it, it's not funny, but Scully backwards is Elux.
I had to explain it to me because I'm stupid.
See, evil people put everything backwards, bro.
Right. I remember like Bizarro Superman.
Right.
And he had his S backwards. He had like the backwards S on his chest.
Yep. Yeah. I like that Superman.
Yeah, that was okay, but going back to the twins, remember the Wonder Twins?
Oh yeah, Wonder Twins, activate.
Shape of an ice dildo. Yeah, shape of a wave. Now we're gonna flood you to death. Ugh. Boy, the Super Friends. Were you a Super Friends guy, like the Justice League?
recall watching that. I mean, it's part of the Saturday morning lineup.
Saturday morning cartoons. I used to watch it and I liked it for a while, but then it just got dumb. Then they just started inventing stupid characters like Apache Chief because they needed an Indian guy, and he could just like grow real tall. You know, he's
or Cadillac.
Or he said some word. He was like, "Jummy me ho me hayaku" or something, and he turned all big. And then they never really did explain how he got small. You know, how did he get small again? Once he got big, he didn't have another word or something. He said he just would show up later and be small again. It was like, how'd that happen? All he was, let's be honest, he was a red Hulk. That's it. He was the same as the Hulk, except he was red. Same stupid character. I'm big and I can throw things. Boom. You know, it's so stupid.
Hulk smash.
That's right. And then Apache Chief come back with a giant arrow and shoot you once Hulk smashed you. That's how it went.
Right.
Well, I am back. I have taken my throne back here at the helm. I do want to thank Seth for sitting in and you for stepping up and taking the lead and jamming that one down. But we're on to this week. And man, we got a lot of guests this week, don't we? Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
We have, of course, coming up here in just a little while, we have Bobby Blitz of the mighty band Overkill. They are back with a new album called Scorched. I'm not even sure when it's out, but it's out soon. And people are definitely going to want to check that out.
I'm not going to ask him while he's here. I don't want to ask him, but I'm going to talk to you about it real fast. Like,
okay, go ahead.
How do you speculate that he caught the name Blitz? Like, I knew it was like for me, I came up with like 3 potential backstories to this.
Okay. I have no idea. I honestly have no idea.
My first thought is that perhaps he played football.
Okay.
In high school or college.
He's real small, though.
He was known to be like an offensive. He's small?
Yeah, like skinny small, like maybe 160 pounds at 6'1" or something.
Yeah, but he doesn't. Yeah, I was gonna say he looks tall. I watched some live.
Yeah, he's tall, but he's real skinny.
So possibly that. The other is that he's a fan of Nazi memorabilia, and it was possibly something to do with the Blitzkrieg.
I'm thinking he won't admit to that, even if that's true.
Possibly not. And then the third option is that he's known to throw back a few and get a little blitz. Oh, I had a fourth one too. Okay. That he goes crazy if the Sweet Song Barroom Blitz comes on.
Could be that too.
He just starts moshing the shit out of people.
So you think he's a big fan of the Sweet? That's what you think it is?
It's one of those 4 things, and I wanted to know if I was potentially right, if we could somehow squeak that in. And I know it's a dumb question.
We're gonna ask. I'm gonna ask him about a chocolate business that he does on the side. So why not?
I hope it's not the one that blew up yesterday. Like there was one.
I hope it's not. I would imagine if it is, he would have canceled the interview.
Charlie and the Fudge Factory just went kaboom yesterday. Apparently, rest in peace.
Where's that at?
People lost their lives. I thought it was in Pennsylvania.
No shit.
I could be wrong there.
Hershey Bomb in Hershey.
Have you ever been to Hershey Park?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I went there as a kid. It was trippy. Not much going on there. They only had like
much.
A log ride back then in the 70s.
Yeah, you walk around, get a little candy, you're out.
The coolest thing that I remember, they had a Betty Crocker robot deal. Like it was kind of like Epcot Center. It's what's that? It's Small World. It's almost like it's a small world in the sense that you're like on a raft and you're kind of going through, but then you kind of come around the corner and it's like Betty Crocker's kitchen. Sure. And there's like a robot Betty Crocker in there and she's like mixing chocolate in there and stuff. And it was like in the 70s, that was pretty cool. I mean, they still don't have anything like that 40 years later.
No.
50 years later.
Hell no.
And I remember them putting like chocolates on your pillow, like you get some Hershey Kisses, on your pillows. But I don't know if the place is still around or if people go. If you've been there, anybody? Hershey Park.
I gotta ask you, as somebody that goes to hotels all the time, if you go to a hotel and they leave a little piece of something on a bed, would you eat it?
Not only would I eat it, I would go back out there and ask her if she had any more.
You don't care.
You learn to go out there and ask the lady for more shit, like especially coffee. That's like the number one, even though that coffee is the fucking worst. The ones they have.
You don't care that it's been sitting on a cum stained fucking pillowcase?
Yeah, it's protein.
Like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, by the way, if you're referring to the soy sauce that we used a few weeks back for our bulgogi,
yeah,
the cum chum,
yeah,
it was totally salty.
I bet it was.
You know, honestly, it was something crazy like 55% sodium. I could go get it to go find it, but I finally read the back and I was taken aback by it. It was very salty. It tasted salty.
It's because they made it in a glory hole in Busan. Jesus Christ, dude. What are you doing drinking that shit? Was it good?
I don't think we should drink it. I mean, she is making that tonight. I wasn't joking. Susie's
Was it good on the food? Or is this first time?
It was salty, bro. It was
too salty.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to cut it back. I'll have to cut it back by like, you know, maybe a 16th of a cup of that in there.
Yuck. That shit sounds terrible, dude. I don't care what you say. The bulgogi is good, though. Bulgogi is good.
It's pretty good. We don't use actual beef, by the way. I mean, not that we care if we did, but we'd used like Jenny-O turkey or something.
Plant beef.
Right.
GMO beef.
You know what I did that was kind of a non-meat dinner? I took the initiative to try a new dish. I made us some eggplant the parmesan.
Ugh, that has to be gross.
Good, man. And you know what else I did? I took the initiative to stop buying canned sauces. And I'm like, now I'm just making my own shit.
Look at you. You're like turning into Susan's domesticating the shit out of you.
I just go, why do I do what is sauce? What is it? And it's tomatoes. So I just like, I go, you know what? I'm just going to make my own sauce because who knows what they put in the jars of sauce to make it last, the preservatives, the GMO, whatever bullshit. It's just like, go get some crushed tomatoes, get a bunch of cans of that and put it in and then just start experimenting. You know,
are you like practicing for when you retire? Is that what you're getting ready for when you're done with Piercy? You're going to be a fucking chef?
Possibly. We could work that in. Little Eric's Corner recipe minute. Who knows? I'm open to anything. I do enjoy cooking, and I realize I enjoy cooking, but I really don't know how to cook that many things. And she actually hinted that she said something, Susan, the other day, like,
yeah,
I get tired of eating the same things every day. And I was like, shit, I better up my game, you know. So I tried the eggplant parmesan. It was pretty simple to make aside from having to whip a sauce up for the first time, but the sauce part wasn't hard. I mean, I had like some real like oregano. I think my mom gave me from the Costco. And I was like,
right.
Don't ask what I was just doing right there. Anyways, oregano, I put some basil. I did put a little bit of sugar in there.
Right.
Some sea salt, some pepper.
Now, how did you know to put this shit in? Were you just totally guessing, or did you have a recipe that you were sort of going off of, or what?
No, I was pretty much guessing. Although I did see like recently, because we were making a homemade pizza and we had YouTubed like a pizza sauce recipe. And this guy's like, you just put the crushed tomatoes. You want to taste those tomatoes, you know?
Right.
And he was really like, if anything, you just want to experiment with which tomatoes you use. You know, like the can I used was probably the lamest one I could have got. It like just said tomatoes on it. You know?
Right.
But you could get some fancy, I'm sure, canned crushed tomatoes that would be even tastier. It's finding the right can or whatever, but that's more than fine to do. I mean, if you really wanted to go nuts, you could actually get some organic, certain, you know, tomatoes. But
I don't know. This sounds awful. This sounds awfully hard to me, dude. It's like, you know what my biggest fear is with cooking? And I can actually cook a little bit. I actually can cook, but I don't very often. And I'll tell you why. Because nothing scares me more than going out and spending $75, $80 on a bunch of groceries to make something that I could make for about $6 if I just bought it prepackaged.
That's a good point.
It be bad, you know,
and have it be bad.
That's my fear. It's not so much that I fear the cooking part; it's that I fear the spending a shit ton of money and then it not be good. And then I know I could have just bought it from I don't know, from DoorDash for $20, the same exact
thing.
DoorDash.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm gonna have to cut in here and say, wow, you're adding a real big surcharge on the cost of your meal. Plus, unless you're one of those guys that doesn't tip these poor people.
No, you got to tip them.
But once you get that in the mix, man, you're paying a lot. Where
I know.
I mean, I shop at Winco, just to give my local Winco over here a little,
little plug.
Thank you. But they have a lot of their own products for the store that are more than fine. They have probably the best deal on chicken breasts, like boneless chicken breasts. Right now they're $1.68.
That's not bad.
Okay. That's amazing. Sometimes they're $2.68. It kind of varies, but either way, under $3. The way they get away with having these low prices because they don't accept credit cards there. It's like just your debit card or cash, apparently. And that's why they don't have to pay out to the credit card companies that
3% or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So you get it. They pass the savings on to you. But I get some of those breasts. Like if I get a 3-pound thing of breasts, it costs about $8. Okay. And this has a good 5 big boneless chicken breasts in there. I'll take the 2 smallest ones and I have a mini crock pot. Okay.
Right.
In the mini crock pot for about 2 hours, that's for the cats. Okay.
Jesus.
My cats eat pretty good. Like it's plain, but I crock pot it. It takes about 2 hours to I do kind of flip them over at one point, and that's how I can kind of tell when it's almost time. And what I do is I cut them up into real tiny bites for them. I take all the juice that's left over, I put it back into there, and I mush it all up into this like mixture, and that's like they're getting really good chicken. Now for mine, I have like a glass dish, throw the oven on 400, take some lemon, just squirt it over. Like there'll be like 3 pieces I put in a small, which for you that'd be more than enough. That'd be like 3 breasts you're putting in there. You're sunken.
Right.
But you just put the lemon, you flip it over. You just take like a beer can chicken seasoning. That Winco had a beer can chicken seasoning there, a sprinkle. It was only like $1 or $2. Took that, shake it on top, 400, put it in there, in about 10 minutes, turn it once. 5 minutes later, turn it again one time. It's going to be done pretty soon. If they're obviously you defrost the chicken, and you got a great chicken right there, and it only costed you, $8.
Yeah,
and you have leftovers.
Well, you would look at me.
I gotta cut down on my portions. I'm a fucking maniac with portions. It's terrible. If I wasn't a rock guy, like you know what job I would love?
Chef. It sounds like.
Competitive eater.
Oh, like, you'd be going out to the hot dog eating thing and stuff.
Well, nah, not hot dogs. Who I liked his show was Man versus Food. You ever watch that?
No, I don't watch food shows.
Okay, well, you should watch this one because it's pretty awesome. It's Man versus Food. The guy had to retire because I think he had a heart attack or something. Because he just goes to places that have some kind of competition involving their menu.
Right.
Like, we dare you to like eat this whole pizza, or it's free if you do, or that's a dumb thing that he did. But on the show, he went to probably 100 different places that had pretty cool competitions, if you will.
That's not the guy that died, is it? That Anthony Bourdain?
No, sir, it's not.
Okay. Because he was a food guy, right?
You could look up a preview of it or something. You could kind of see it. I don't know, but Man versus Food. I know he did have to retire because his body just couldn't hack anymore, man. You're going out and just basically overdosing for however many shows are on the season,
right?
Because every state has a place like that. I'm sure you guys have something somewhere in Cleveland or somewhere.
The only thing we seem to have is those where there's like a meal that's like $100. It's like a steak, but it's like 40-ounce steak or something, and you have to
If you like that movie, The Great Outdoors with John Candy, rest in peace.
Yeah, we've got that around here. If you can eat
you gotta eat it all.
Yeah, you gotta eat the
grizzle too.
Yep, everything.
He did it too. He fucking did it. They all got shirts. They all got the John Candy won them all shirts and stuff. Remember?
Yeah.
And then he saw the raccoon in the trash, the stinky trash, and then he barfed everywhere.
Right.
I mean, you'd have to throw up after one of those situations. Sure. But if I had like an hour, I think I could eat pretty much any competition. But as we know, my health right now, that's off the table, man. I can't. There's 2 things I can't do: food competitions or cocaine. Like,
and the thing with the food competitions too, you're saying about if you had an hour, it's not about using the hour. The way you finish that shit is go as fast as you fucking can.
Before your stomach realizes what time it is.
Yep. And it hurts at the end, but you got to wolf to do those kind of competitions. If you try to stretch it out over the hour, you'll never make it.
What if
you got to put it down in 15 minutes? You got to put it down in 15 minutes.
My deal is I eat pretty fast and I go back for seconds.
Right. I just heap it big so that I can say I only had one plate of food.
Yeah, no, I do that. I go, oh, Chinese mountain.
That's right.
It's like, my girlfriend looks at it, Susan. She's like, holy shit. It's just all like toppling over. I'm like, oh, smash.
Why do I get the feeling that you are just a pain in the dick at like a hibachi restaurant too? He's throwing food at you. You're throwing it back at him. You're trying to light the volcano.
I've been to a place like that.
I could just
fancy,
see you.
man, going to Benihana's or some shit.
Yeah.
My rich uncle took us there like when he was visiting here when I was like 12. I haven't been back since.
They're fun.
Pretty badass.
I go. My kids love to go there, so every once in a while I gather my kids up and we head over. It's not Benihana, but it's just the same exact thing. We go over there and grab the food, and he does the same thing with the little pissing guy that lights.
It's Kenny Bana.
Yeah, Kenny
a white guy wearing a fucking Asian outfit.
Exactly. No,
there are places that literally have no Asian people there, or like whatever, no Mexican people to run the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, that's not good. Why would you go there? You know what that place is called? Taco Bell.
Right.
No.
I suggest not going anywhere where the person's heritage doesn't reflect the culture of the food.
Exactly right. You don't go to a Mexican restaurant to get pizza. You just don't do it. That's dumb.
Unless it's a Taco Bell Mexican pizza, which I heard they're bringing back, and those are delicious.
Taco Bell anything is awful, and I'll eat it. Don't get me wrong.
I'll eat it.
Don't get me wrong. Taco Bell may be awful, but it is good for one thing: driving drunk home, because it will coat it down, man.
I'm in the Flat Earth Society, and Chris is in the Clean Plate Society.
That's right.
Kapow!
Pew, pew. See that? Both hands. Look at that. Oh man. Well, I don't know how we got off onto food. That's not a direction I saw coming. That's for sure. But so you didn't?
Did you see this granny coming your way?
No. Who is she?
Man, she's an Italian granny that I got the sauce recipe from.
Is that who? Is that her getting the fresh tomatoes? Give me the good ones behind the bar.
She has a new fundraiser going. Gats for cats. Okay. Gats for cats.
Gats for cats. Joe Kleon, I love her. When
fuck with cats, you're gonna catch a gat.
There it is.
Right. Catch
yourself a 22 in the fucking side of the head, motherfucker.
Is that a 22? It looks bigger than that.
That's probably bigger than that. I'm seeing on a screen that big, so.
Oh, okay.
I have it on a small screen, so I can.
Granny ain't messing around here.
Well, you got
now. You have a cat guy coming on tonight. You're telling me.
I do. Yeah, Joe Kleon. He's around these parts. He is like the premier photographer around here for rock shows. Like he's like you know my Judas Priest book, which I don't know if I have it over here or not, but I do not. But he did the artwork for my Judas Priest book. Like he took the photo of Rob Halford, and he took the photo of the band that I used as the back cover. He's like the guy in Cleveland. He's the guy for rock photography. And he does a charity every year for an organization called Kitten Crazy, which is it's a rescue place for cats. And he's doing an auction of some of his work for all the proceeds go to the Kitten Crazy to pay for their food and medicine and all the bullshit that comes along with you guys with your cats.
Oh yeah, so man, it can get expensive. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Just Charlie Cat alone has cost Susan thousands with teeth stuff. Just infections. Like purebred cats could be trouble. Like my other cat, on the other hand, has never had to go to the vet for anything. Her teeth are like white as can be, and I attribute that to not feeding her shitty cat food. You know, I actually make her food.
I don't understand why cat healthcare is so expensive. How much does a brick cost?
Oh, bro.
$3?
Do I have to have my grandma bust a cap or what? Dude?
Is she turning toward me?
Pointing your way for a reason, Chris. That's right, Grandma. If Chris,
if I make another cat remark tonight, I'm gonna get shot. Is that what's gonna happen tonight?
Do you see what I did there? A cap, bust a cap. A Chris Akin presents.
There you go. Look at that. You're just excited that I'm willing to talk cats tonight, aren't you?
It's a double entendre.
There you go. Well, we do have a big show, and we didn't even mention him yet, but the third guest tonight, Mr. Stevie Rochelle from Hell. He's going to be checking in to talk to you about the Monsters of Rock cruise and further convince you that it's a good thing to do. And we might just have to ask him about the blasting Dokken article that he wrote today. I don't know if you saw this thing or not, but
oh man, it's probably going to upset Neely. Neely's going to have to bust a cap.
I'd imagine Neely be busting a cap on Stevie with this one because he fucking murdered Don.
You guys, did you watch it yet? I haven't actually watched it.
Watch what?
The clip that he posted. I saw the article.
I've seen that Neely was at that show.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah, it was the show last week that Neely wasn't doing CMS to be at.
Oh, and Don was doing it's the Dream Warriors, not gonna dream no more.
Yeah, it was definitely, honestly, and I love Don, so I'm gonna preface this over and over during the set. I love Don. He is great. He has been great to me. He's been a good friend. He is a good friend. I text with him fairly regularly. I really like Don. But everything Stevie said in his article was pretty accurate. Everything. You know, as far as the vocal performances and that they're just getting worse, you know, and it's like, dude, come off the road. You know, you're in this game, dude. Is there a time that it's just okay to say, I don't care that the fans want me to come out there. I'm gonna take my own integrity and pull myself out.
Well, you know, I mean, if you hit a point where it's just too much for you, you could just do appearances places. Once you're like an iconic person, you could go to like Comic-Con conventions and stuff, or just show up and do karaoke on like a song, maybe for funsies, you know.
Exactly.
But, you know, I don't want to tell Don what to do. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him in his personal life. I know he's a fantastic singer. He always was. And there's probably a way for him to get it back. He's not like he was never a screaming guy or anything.
Right.
He seemed like he always sang properly. You know, maybe he just needs to get in shape again and start working with the vocal coach again. Wouldn't hurt.
Right. Well, we'll have to see. We'll see how that conversation goes a little later in the show. And I see Blitz is trying to connect, but there he is.
This could go south.
No, this is going to go good. There's Blitz right there. Blitz will bring you in just a second. Why don't we do this?
Is he in the gutter? Is that why?
He's waiting.
Is he going to say hello from the gutter?
He is, but he'll do it after we do a quick spot and play a little bit of Overkill to get you guys ready. Bobby Blitz from Overkill next, right here on Chris Akin Presents.
Do you have the idea for a great podcast, but don't have the space or equipment to produce one? Don't wait another minute. Audio Bay Studios is the best place to produce and stream your podcast live. With 4K cameras, professional equipment and more, Audio Bay Podcasting Studio is the best place to showcase your great ideas. Call us today at 440-539-1150 for more information and to book your podcasting session with Audio Bay Podcasting Studio. Call today.
We were killing for the people, we were killing for the state. We were killing just to kill it, and we did it out of hate. We were killing for the innocent, and you can catch a breath, and the motherfucker cries out. There was bodies in the garden, there were bodies on the street. There was guns begging pardon, and the body at my feet. We were killing for the innocent, and you can catch a breath, and the motherfucker cries out. Don't break my concentration, don't break my back in two. One steady hand fixation, blood could bleed all over you. I am the surgeon, I am the face
We are back. That, of course, was Overkill, brand new stuff from Scorched. That one was called The Surgeon. And here's the surgeon of all that is thrash metal, Mr. Bobby Blitz Ellsworth. Bobby.
Might I say to you, hello from the gutter?
Hello!
That wasn't a very good impersonation, Erik.
I'll work on it, sir.
I give that like a 4.5 off of the high board.
Welcome, my friend. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you. Chris, I remember, I think the last time we talked, we were just a stone's throw from Bourbon Street and the Big Easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably.
A couple of years ago, right? 2020.
Yeah. Could be, man. Well, I'll tell you what, Bobby. Let's talk Scorched. Another killer record. A little bit different than you've been doing, but at the same time, Overkill is Overkill. An Overkill record, while it has changes, it's not like you open it up and you get a rap record. It is always what it is, man.
You know what it did to me right now when I just heard it? It made me go, That's how kick-ass it was.
Warmed him up.
I think that you hit it on the head. I mean, obviously there's some diversity here, but and we like to push the parameters, but I mean, we are what we are. Or was it Popeye? I am what I am. That's all that I am.
That's right.
And it's, I mean, it's kind of cool that I suppose this many years later, there's a couple things you depend on, that the taxes are going to go up. You're not going to know what the fucking politics are, but an Overkill record is going to have some thrash on it,
That's right. Exactly. And this one definitely does, man. I love it. It's so, you really, and I don't want to say it like you were bad and then you're good, because I love the band. But I would say, quite honestly, from about 97 to now is like kind of the second phase of Overkill. Like there's the early phase, and then there's like from the underground and below up, which is just been menacing. And not only is it menacing, but it's on such a regular pattern, which I love. I love the fact that every 2 years I get a new record, man. That's just perfect.
I think that's a good take on it. I mean, I've always looked at the band that it happened in kind of phases. There was that first phase, the Megaforce, the early Megaforce days with Bobby Gustafson and Rat Skates, the early the early members of the band, the early formation of the band. And that went to like the years of decay. And then the 90s happened and shit happened and people started changing. And then somewhere again by, I suppose, one of my favorite records being The Underground and Below, which is 97, we caught wings again, and it just felt right, that we were making cohesive type records, something that, when I was 15, I wanted to hear a Black Sabbath record. I needed 45 minutes to hear that record. I didn't want to just hear Children of the Grave. I wanted to go finish all the way through the whole fucking platter. And that's what I kind of felt that the Underground and Below offered. And it became kind of a new template for us from that point on. Let's write entire records as opposed to songs.
Right on. And one of the other things, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm not. I think the consistency in the lineup has really helped you. The first period, there's a lot of guys that came in and out of Overkill. The last 22 years, there's been one guy that's left. Unless I'm mistaken, there's only been Jason coming into the band in 17, 18, whenever that was. The rest of the guys have been with you since 99, right? 2000?
Yeah, I mean, Dave Lynch is, he's really the longest standing guitar player. It's 24 years,
Right.
99, you're 100% right. That's a Necroshine record. Actually, Sebastian Marino, who's recently passed, was the guitar player in Necroshine, and Dave walked in and did Overkill, which was the next. But I mean, it kind of works because none of those guys speak English and they all owe me money, so I'm in charge and fuck them. You know what I'm saying? It is a good lineup, and obviously to be able to say something like that, that's because we do have a good time doing this. This many years later, it's still like middle-aged, older boys club kind of a thing. Rolling dice, smoking Cuban cigars.
Sure. Now let's dig into Scorched a little bit because it was different for you. Obviously, it's probably the longest amount of time you've ever had to write a record because everybody had a lot of time to write or sit home or do whatever. And you're not a guy to sit home and do whatever. You're a guy to make metal. So talk a little bit about, writing this record. Cause from what I read anyway, I read that it was quite different for you as far as having the time, which left you a lot more time to tinker and dig a little deeper into each of the songs.
Well, a bunch of it was for sure. The direction was formed prior to that, prior to the pandemic, I had the demo, I think probably a week after you and I talked the last time, because that was like somewhere in March of 2020, and the direction was there. It was skeletal, but it was there. And, Dee Dee and I kept talking. I'm like, man, I could go in and record this tomorrow. This was months after, I had this demo. But I said, if we're not going to tour it, what's the sense? That's our visibility, is being on stage and transferring this from pressing play to seeing it and feeling it live. So we both agreed, and that gave us that extra time to tinker. But primarily, it gave me the extra time because Jason had done the drums by that June of 2020.
Okay.
And the guitars started becoming layered, and Dee Dee was adding bass, and we were changing some shit here and there. But fuck, man, I had 3.5 years to mess with this. Or, well, maybe not 3.5 years, but 2 3/4 years to mess with this record. And I think, the results kind of speak for themselves because it was, it was a go-to in the pandemic. It was just this, kind of a cool place to go that seemed normal when all this abnormality was raging around.
Right.
And everybody who's watching, and, both of you guys.
Right.
So it's, I don't know, the normal and the abnormal. So I think the results are something a little bit different because, you raise the bar in the heavy metal and then you put some blues in there and then, this is happening and rock and roll's happening. And I've always said, if somebody says, Overkill's a one-trick pony, I'm like, you're not listening.
Yeah. Right.
It's not true. There is blues and there is rock and roll and there is traditional metal and there is progressive thrash and traditional thrash and groove. But I think that in this case, we had to raise the bar, to push the parameters, to make it just a little bit different than we would have in the past.
Right.
It's evolved a lot, like especially sonically. Like I took a trip back to the Megaforce early days today, watching some live stuff, listen to the first albums and such, just getting refamiliarized with it. And then when what Chris just played me right now, I was like, holy shit. That just sounds like a whole new world. You guys have really evolved, and it just sounded amazing what he just played me, I have to say.
That's a great compliment. One of the things that I like about this record, or, it might be my take on it, is that, the production quality on it it's from two eras. It's from the current day, and it's also from the days gone by. So like when you're putting this record on and it opens with the song Scorched and you hear this, kind of lone guitar introduction, it's reminiscent of something in the 80s. And then when everything kicks in, you get this modern kind of a drum punch with, really cool old school room resonance and then a scooped guitar. So it's like, it's kind of like listening to 1985, but sitting in 2023 doing it.
But your voice sounds so good on it.
Yeah, I just thought it was the greatest fucking thing when Colin Richardson and Chris Clancy started messing with these, with these tracks. I was like, oh my God, they're creating like duality here,
right.
Audio duality. And I was really impressed with where they were going with it.
Right. Well, Colin's amazing. Colin is absolutely, he's the surgeon, really, because that guy is an absolute master. The other guy you worked with, too, that you didn't mention that I think is the best in the business today is Mayor Applebaum. His mixes are fucking incredible on everything he does. Great choice working with him, man.
Well, he's been, he's been on our radar for a long time. Mayor's, I would say he's a friend even before, somebody that we worked with professionally. I remember running into him in NAMM years ago, and him following me around going, I want to do an Overkill record. I want to do it. I'm going, yeah, stop bothering me, kid. Get the fuck out of here. Go get me a beer.
Beat it, kid. Scram.
Yeah, beat it, scram. Get off my fucking lawn. But I think that he was the right choice. And Colin, we didn't know we were going to need a mastering engineer. And then Colin says, no, I don't master this. I use Mayor. And
okay.
we were like, fuck. Well, I said, this is the time. This is the time to, to break into that end of working with somebody new. And I think he did a great job for it too. It's a record you can listen to at really loud levels without tiring your ears out, which is huge, man. It's like sometimes I go, that is the heaviest shit I ever heard. And after 3 songs, I'm like, I gotta take a break. I'm gonna have a coronary.
Yeah.
My eardrums are on the ground. But I think that these guys really did, especially Colin, and then handing it over to Mayor was just fantastic.
No, it is. And you know, one of the things that's interesting when you listen to it, I listened to it a few different ways, more just because not because I'm some audiophile douchebag, but because in one room I had the speaker, another room I had headphones. So I kind of listened to it both ways. In the headphones, you can hear a lot of nuanced stuff, especially in the drums. But on a big speaker, it doesn't get all bricked and cloudy like it does a lot of, like most records do. And that's a testament to what they were doing, but it's also a testament to you guys doing your parts extremely well and extremely clean this time.
Yeah, good pickup. We always call those little nuances the ear candy, and it was one of the, it's one of the things that you don't want to lose. You want to give it almost two faces. Sure. To some degree, you want that loudspeaker live kind of a vibe going on, but you also want, when you put those cans on, you want to be able to hear even the little fucking shit like the church bells in the background, or, the cello comes in, or here comes the fucking monk choir. And, so, talk about fucking tinkering. It was almost like to the point of boredom, we're throwing everything. Where's the chainsaw? Get me that microphone.
Is that a cat I heard? Meow.
Grab my fucking Harley and squeeze that cat.
Get that cat out of here.
There you go. Nice. Well, Blitz, I want to come back to the consistency part for a minute, because in addition to the consistency of the lineup and the music and what you write and how you write, you guys have been really consistent with the artwork the past few records. You have a very distinct style. It's Travis Smith, who's great. And, I never heard the story how you came upon him and, what leads you to keep using him.
I can't remember how we came upon him. It was all the way back at Necroshine. I wasn't feeling too good during that particular part of my life. It was stone cold sober, and I was kind of fighting for another record with a medical kind of a situation.
Okay.
I think probably Dee Dee found him, or it might have even been the guys. It might have been Warrell Dane and Jim Shepard from Nevermore that turned us on to him, because they were on the road with us for the Underground and Below, and we liked that Nevermore cover. I remember that for sure. But I attribute that whole thing. I don't have like an artistic long view on things. It's pretty simple for me. I'm like, man, that needs a little more chrome, or no, let's fucking dump some of the chrome on that. There's my artistic long view.
Make it green.
Hey?
Right. Make it green.
Make it green. Make it green. That works. But I attribute his success to, in many cases, the fact that we don't get in his way anymore. That he has this, he's the true artist and the true illustrator here. We handed him a piece of, ancient Greek mythology, the Eurobus, the snake eating its own tail. We said, what about this? As like a start. And he started messing with it. And then he came up with these two demons facing each other. Are they saying, let's get the fuck out of here? Are they saying, fuck you? Or are they saying, is it conflict? Is it fear? And the fact that I didn't even know when looking at it what he was trying to convey, but it conveyed, 4 or 5, 6 different things in my head. I said, he's onto it again. This fucking guy is onto it again. So when we picked that particular illustration, we said, we got to make this more Overkill. The name Scorched came in. The guys voted it. I wanted Twisted the Wick. They wanted Scorched. And, I was like, all right, I guess that's 4-1. Let's go. Let's see what happens. And, started out in the fire, and it looks like something that should be framed on a wall,
Right.
Not in a monastery, but for sure in a heavy metal, listening room.
Right. Definitely, man. Well, dude, obviously, man, the bread and butter of Overkill is touring. So I'm sure you have a year's worth in the pipeline. So what are we looking at this year?
Hold on, let me check this. Okay, we're good.
Exactly.
I keep looking at you, Eric. I keep looking at you with that gun over your shoulder, man, and I keep thinking that it's like
it's pointed at Chris. He says bad things about cats all the time. He's always
Who is that? Is that like,
cats. I love cats. So this gun tonight is pointed at Chris, where he says anything bad about cats. That's my Italian grandma, and she's gonna.
He came close. He came close.
Yeah.
We just talked about the cat.
That's right. There you go.
The touring starts on the 13th in Europe. We're taking Exhorter and Heathen.
Wow.
So it's going to be an American jaunt over through Europe, approximately a month. We're looking at the U.S. At the end of June into July.
Okay.
Then the festivals. I think we're doing Blue Ridge in Virginia. We're doing
that too.
Hey,
I'm gonna do Blue Ridge also. That's like the biggest festival in the U.S. or something, right? It's like the most bands, I think, or something that happens in a couple day period. But I don't know if we're playing the same day. But I
he
play
plays
for
with
Stephen Piercy.
He plays with Stephen Piercy.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think we're gonna be there too.
Oh, that's gonna be cool. Yeah, I mean, it's September, right? It's
Yes.
It's September. I heard there's no like air. It's in Virginia, but it's like you can fly. Like the closest airport is South Carolina. I'm like, bro, that's
great.
a half away. But we're doing that. There's some stuff over in Europe. Then we're going to run the whole gauntlet again. I mean, it's always a double run for us.
Sure.
A double dip to Europe and the U.S. Try to compact it. I mean, we did these old guy, do the work before the tours, then go out and roll those dice and, drink some 12-year-old scotch and, have some decent fun. We don't get to spend that much time together anymore. So it's still kind of really positive for us to go out there and, I don't know, just like, just start the fucking machine up, change the oil and just say, God damn it, that motor is still running.
Right. Now, are you doing any of the big ones this year? You doing Wacken or Sweden Rock or any of those or?
No, we're not. We did Wacken last year. We did a couple of them last year. But we're not doing Hellfest. We're not doing Sweden Rock. Sweden Rock's honestly is not that big. People just love it because of how cool it is. I mean, you've probably been there, Eric. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's just in the middle.
We don't get to go to Europe that much.
Jacket during the day, but it's just a great festival. So we did Wacken last year, and we did a couple of other things last year. We're doing one in the UK called Manor Fest. I guess there'll be probably half a dozen of them over the summer, and then by September we'll be at Blue Ridge, and then gearing up to either go back to Europe, South America, or the US.
Where is the Overkill audience biggest? Is it overseas or is it here?
Right here in this fucking computer. That's what it is.
You're the last two, Chris.
Come on.
I honestly, it's always hard to tell because there's no tangible product anymore. You have to look at it with regard to streaming. So it's not like, the streaming in, this part of Germany. I'm sure somebody could give me those numbers, but it was always pretty even when it came to Europe and the US. But the US always had like a bigger kind of a pull for us. And that's, I think it's, it's obviously based on population. I mean, all of Western Europe, does it equal all of the United States? I mean, there are just tons of people on the East and the West Coast here, and even in the South, Texas, et cetera, the big cities. So it's always been the U.S. for us that I think that we can do bigger shows. And we're not like, we're like a House of Blues band, but there's some areas, that we go. I mean, Jersey, we can do 2,500 people in a theater, and that's, that's a good thing. We're trying to end at Asbury Park this summer. That's Bruce Springsteen territory. Mm-hmm. They have an outside venue. It holds 5K. I mean, obviously, I don't know if we could do 5K on our own, but I mean, we would need good support, for instance, to do something like that. So I still think the U.S. is probably the bread and butter for us.
Right on. Now, I got to ask you about one guy that you work with on occasion, because everybody works with him on occasion, Phil Demmel. And I mean, he's obviously great. I mean, he's an unbelievable player, and he can play a lot of instruments. But how do you approach somebody like that? He's kind of everybody's Swiss Army knife, so to speak. Lamb of God needs him for a gig, he's there. You guys need him for a week of shows, he's there. How does that even work? Do you call him and say, hey, here's 15 songs that you need to know, and he learns them long term or over a weekend, or how does that work?
Well, I lend him money and then I hold it over his fucking head. That's what I mean.
Nice.
You paying me or you going out in the fucking road? I mean, he's a great dude. I met him through the Metal Allegiance guys. I mean, I got into the Metal Allegiance thing because of Mark Menge. He's just an absolute pain in my fucking ass, and that's the only reason I joined. I mean, the guy just continuously busted my balls on and on. But I mean, I knew a bunch of the other dudes that were there. I knew Gary Holt. I knew the Testament dudes and Mike Portnoy. And Demo came in, and it was just, Menge and I were talking one day about doing this thing called BPMD, which turned into BPMD. And it was like cover songs of the 70s, so we're covering Aerosmith or Screaming Teddy out of Motor City Madman. And, some of the shit I grew up with, I was doing some Cactus and Mountain. I mean, I was having a fucking time in my life. But Demo seemed like the right guy for it, So that's where Phil and I have like the relationship is from doing those covers. And we still do stuff. We still even record together, to this day. 70s stuff, 80s stuff, just for a kick, something you can throw in the can and make a record. But I think you hit the nail on the head. He's like a Swiss Army knife. He's you can apply him to many different situations and he can fit in perfectly. So when we came out of that, Peter pandemic, just like panic because we had one of our dudes just couldn't make it. I was like, yeah, no problem. Send a list. I was like, done.
How long in advance did you give him the list? Was it weeks or days or what?
It was about 35 minutes.
Oh, come on.
Oh, what?
No.
It was about 6 weeks.
Okay, so that's plenty of time.
And we flew him into Jersey. We actually did a place called the Wellmont Theater in Montclair, New Jersey. That was a makeup show, but it was like right when Peter pandemic was, starting to not show his face anymore. So we got into that show and we had some guys with some vax issues. Right. And, Phil was like, I'll do it. And so we already had rehearsed with Phil for this one show. And when we had the same issue come up with the tour, it was just a quick call. And he's like, yeah, he goes, let me just clear it at home, talk to the family and make sure that we have no family plans. And I'll be there. And that's the way it worked out.
Very cool, man.
Well, the family plans are paying the family's bills, I would assume.
Lend him money and hold it over his head, right?
That's it.
Works every time. Yeah.
That's it.
Is he really a biker?
Nice. Well, Blitz, I got to ask you this one question. It has nothing to do with music, but it's something that I just stumbled across and I know nothing about that you're involved in, or maybe not anymore. Are you still doing the chocolate business?
No, that was that was sold about 2015.
Okay.
I was married to a really nice European woman, a Dutch woman. But apparently I like divorce better than marriage in many cases. So I've done enough.
So no more chocolate.
I only like to say that just to humor the whole thing. But she was, it was a business we started here when she immigrated here.
Okay.
In 2004. And I had 2 brick and mortars with her between 2004 and 2015. A place called Nyack, New York, which is right in the Hudson River, real eclectic little village. And one called Newton, New Jersey, which is about 15 miles from my house. And they went mad. I mean, it was a Dutch girl in a European chocolate shop selling Dutch chocolate. I mean, it was nothing more authentic in the area.
Right. Somehow I can't see you standing over a pot with a thing just churning up some chocolate.
Bro, I can tell you could look at the books, right? And you could see whenever I was in the store because, would you make up your fucking mind and $40 a pound just don't go together? So you could just watch the revenue go.
Right down to nothing.
I was behind the scenes very soon after.
You were a silent partner. That's what.
Silent partner. Correct.
Nice. Well, Blitz, I'll tell you what, man. The new album is fantastic. It's called Scorched. When is it out officially? When does it officially hit?
It's the 14th of April.
Okay, so a couple weeks.
There's some other metal band releasing that day. Some San Francisco band. I don't know.
That's if they have any money left from buying Scorched, right? They can buy that. They can buy that one.
Somebody goes to me, you release it the same day as Metallica. I said, put them up, motherfucker.
Right,
dude. That might be a good day because
That's
there's
what I
already
said.
people buying. There's already
I said,
people.
why not? I mean, shit. I mean, I know we're not going to do the same amount, but I mean, it'd be great to be compared to them on such a day.
It would make sense if, like, Amazon or something said people that bought this are also buying this.
That would be great.
I
think that would be a great thing.
That would make sense. So
it's the 14th of April. So just a couple more weeks. The production video's done. We're doing press up the wazoo.
Sure.
I got a couple of these steam yards. I got Don Jameson coming up. My press girl's like, yeah, I got Don Jameson at 7 a.m. I said, who the fuck wants to wake up with Don Jameson?
Nice.
And I'm going to tell him that when I get on the air with him tomorrow.
Hell yeah. That's good stuff. Well, dude, where should we tell people to go to pre-order the record or buy it? And if there's vinyls, all that stuff.
You can get it at nuclearblast.com. You can order the green and the black vinyl there, some double gate folds, etc. There's going to be a cassette that we actually did a layout for. I mean, more of a novelty, obviously, but it will play if you have one of those old cassette players. CDs, downloads through there. And, of course, all the other outlets, the Amazons. I mean, you put Overkill Scorched release in there, man, the whole page is just
right.
So Nuclear Blast is probably the best way that helps us directly. But
what about merch, Bobby? What about merch like the badass Overkill shirts? You guys always have the most badass shit.
Well, you can get it at wreckingcrew.com, which is ours, or you can follow links to what's called JSR Direct. They're out of New Hampshire. They handle all of our online sales. You would go there anyway, even after ours. Overseas, it's a company called Merchland out of Germany that handles it. So we're pretty set up on both ends. There's a whole bunch of great stuff coming out. I mean, but I'll tell you, when you look at an album cover like what you see on Scorch, and I remember we're talking about Travis before, and I looked at it. I'm talking with Dee Dee, and we're both looking at it, and I go, great fucking T-shirt, man.
Nice. Awesome. Well, one more time, man. The album is called Scorched. It is Overkill. And Bobby, I figured we would wrap this one up with the lyric video for Wicked Place. So maybe why don't you tell us a quick story about that song to wrap it up?
Well, I mean, we talked about the diversity of the record, and and we also just talked about doing 70s songs with Phil Demmel. And one of the things I first felt when I heard this, I heard the original riff, and I got on the phone with Dee Dee, and I'm like, man, it's like fucking Foghat on steroids. I was singing this in the shower when I was like 14. It's just that thick blues ride that takes you kind of to another era. And it was so funny because somebody asked me when we were doing interviews, they're like, what about Wicked Place? I said, how does a metal band do a big fat blues ride like that? I said, if you were interviewing Ozzy in 1972, he would tell you he was in a blues band, not a heavy metal band. So I think that it comes from that era, and something I'm really proud of because it reflects my youth and reflects my influence. So here we go. Take that blues ride, Wicked Place.
All right. Well, here we go. From Scorched, it is Wicked Place. And Bobby, thanks so much for joining us once again on Chris Akin Presents.
Good fun, boys. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
See you, man.
myhappydesires.com. Visit us at myhappydesires.com and add some toys to your toy box. Let your imagination be the guide to your stress relief. myhappydesires.com has everything for the perfect play night. Alone or not, you choose. fuel your desires without breaking the bank. myhappydesires.com.
All right, we are back right here on Chris Aiken Presents. Erik, what you think, man? That was pretty fun, right?
Man, I love that. And he's from Jersey, too.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm from Jersey. I'm from Jersey.
I've heard you're from Jersey.
Right. What exit? What exit?
I don't know. The one that Tony gets off on?
You ask people from Jersey what exit.
That's all any of us know about Jersey, the fucking Sopranos. Sorry. We stink. But
there's other things he said, too, that I love. That I say all the time, like, to Susan, because she's always up my ass. I'm like, why you gotta be busting my balls? Huh?
Well, Blitz is a character
all the time.
I can't believe he remembered that he was in fucking New Orleans last time I talked to him. Jesus, that was crazy. But some guys have good memories, that's for sure.
It did look like he got the nickname Blitz by.
That could have been. That's okay. He used to throw down. But here's a guy that used to throw down and has thrown down with me many times.
Nice.
Mr. Joe Kleon. Joe, how are you, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. Good to have you once again. This is Erik.
Hey, Erik, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So Joe, I'm gonna introduce you to Erik by saying Erik is like you. He's a cat guy. Now you know my propensity of not liking pets at all, which I know you hate.
That's why I brought my Nani tonight.
That's why he brought the gun to keep me under control.
If I was a pet, I would hate you, Chris.
Especially a Playboy playmate or a playmate or penthouse pet or whatever. But no, dude. But in seriousness, I'll just put it this way: as a non-pet person, the reason I'm not a pet person is because I know I wouldn't take care of a pet. And therefore, I just don't have one. There's nothing worse than the people that have pets for status. And then the minute they break up with their girl or whatever, then they abuse the pet. So I appreciate you pet people. And you are way over the edge with the pet thing with with this charity that you're involved in. So let's start there, man. But, so that people know everything that you're doing here. Talk a little bit about the charity that's now the auction that's running and the charity that you're involved in.
Yeah, the charity is a no-kill cat rescue. It's called Kitten Crazy. It's in Medina, Ohio. All the cats are free roaming. There's no cages. So you walk in, there's these giant rooms of 7,000 square feet, and the cats just roam around. You sit down on the couch, and the cat that's going to pick you comes over and picks you, basically.
The cat picks you.
It does. That's the way it always works. As I said, it's a no-kill shelter. It's a 501c3 nonprofit, and I started volunteering as their photographer about 9 years ago. And then I started doing these fundraisers. I figured I could take some of my concert photos, put them online, and raise some money for a great cause. So that's what I'm doing again now for the 5th time.
Right, and for people that don't know Joe, Joe's not, when he says he's donating his art is true art. It's not. His photography is as good as any. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I proudly used one of Joe's pieces of work, which he could not have been a better friend to let me use for the cover of my Judas Priest book, and the front and back, 2 different photos for that. And I have a beautiful piece on Roger Waters on my wall. I mean, Joe's work is, I'm gonna put some up on the screen while we're talking so that it's not, this one right here I used as my back cover on my book.
Wow.
I don't have the front one here. I thought I had the book here, but I don't. But I mean,
I can send that to you if you could transition it real quick.
Yeah, email it over to me, and I will.
Also, how about Facebook message? Does that work?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
I can get it. I can flip it.
Razor blade.
But yeah, I mean, Joe's eye, and I'm not just kissing his ass because he's here, because I've told him this, numerous times. Joe's work is as good as anything you're ever going to see anywhere. Anything that you're going to see on Getty Images, anything that you're going to see from, Mark Weiss or Neil Zlotner, whatever his name, the Neil Z, whatever that guy's name is.
Slowzauer.
Yeah. It's a rare gift in my opinion, to be able to capture moments, because they're 1/100th of a second, they're gone. And, and to be able to capture so many for so many years, that's a true gift, man. And, I know it sounds like I'm kissing your ass. Maybe I'm a little bit, but I appreciate the work.
No, thank you very much. I just Facebook messaged you the cover of your priest book, that photo, where I actually cheated and popped up the flash on my camera to get the perfect shot. But that's one thing I really like about concert photography. What you were talking about is that it's difficult. I can sit in the field and get a shot of somebody perfect every time because you can sit there for an hour and keep changing your settings. But when you're doing a concert, the lights are changing every 5 seconds. It's really difficult. And I can shoot in the same venue 100 times. And every time it's just as difficult as the first. And that's what I like about it, because I never can rest on my laurels. I can never take it easy. It's always a challenge. And I like that. Well,
and when you're taking the pictures too, and this is another thing, you know, and I want you and Erik to kind of talk through this a little bit, because you know, I don't know if you know this, Joe, but Erik is Stephen Pearcy's guitar player.
Did I meet him when we were with Stephen at the Kent stage?
Probably, yes.
I probably did.
You absolutely. In fact, you absolutely did.
Yeah,
because he's the one that got me in. So,
Nice.
So yeah, I on the photographer standpoint, I know it's always a pain in the ass, and there's always different rules with different bands. You know, some want you to shoot from the back of the building, some want you to shoot from the front, but they only want you to shoot the first 2 songs or 30 seconds of the first 3 songs. Or
I just say, don't get my bald spot.
Well, as the photographer, Joe, what is it? What is most convenient for you? Not necessarily convenient as in just being there, but what is most convenient for you to get the best shot? Is it being close, or is it being maybe isolated away from other photographers so that you're not crawling over each other to get a good shot?
It's usually close because you're right there, and it's usually better. But sometimes from the soundboard from far away, it's great too, because you can get the crowd interacting with the performer, which you can't get when you're in front of the crowd in the pit in front of the barrier. Right. So they're both good. But if I had a choice, I would rather be in the pit. I would rather be close up.
Right. Do you have problems ever where the other people get in your way and they're just pains in the ass?
Oh my God, all the time. Well, there used to be a thing like before the pandemic, and there's some Facebook pages for concert photographers, and there's a thing called pit etiquette. There's things you do and there's things you don't do. And I kind of was out of it for about 3 years after, during the pandemic, and I'm just getting back into it this summer. And I shot a show, Our Lady Peace at House of Blues.
Okay.
And there was no fucking pit etiquette whatsoever. This chick had this backpack that was like 8 feet extended behind her. And you don't do shit like that because you need to move around, and the pit is and the area in front of the barrier, between the barrier and the stage, is very narrow.
Right.
And you don't do stuff like that. And people would stand in front of me, just walk in front of me and just stop right in front of me and just start shooting. And that, when you walk in front of somebody, you would duck down under their camera so you don't get in the way of their shots. And I used to know everybody that was in the pit because I've been doing it for so long. And I think I knew 1 or 2 of the 7 people that were there for Our Lady Peace. 7 people. Wow. I wouldn't usually not see 7 people for like Springsteen or, Roger Waters. And there was 7 people crammed into the pit at House of Blues. That was that was an interesting show.
Yeah, no kidding. Now for you, Erik, I'm gonna put real quick. This is the shot that he took. That is my cover of my book. So nice. Just a brilliant picture. I mean,
you were at that show, weren't you, Chris? 2012. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, I was definitely there, and I just remembered I was leaving. I'll tell the story. I was trying to find the right priest picture, and I couldn't find anything that I liked. And then you just hit me up. Me and you were just bullshitting. And I just asked you if you had any priest pictures, and you were like, here, boom, use whatever you want. And I was like, oh, all right.
Behold.
And I was like, I like this one. This is fucking phenomenal.
He held that pose for probably 10 seconds, and his entire face was completely dark. There was no lights on him. And I took like 4 or 5 shots, and I looked at the camera. I'm like, oh, this looks like shit. It's dark. Right. And I popped the flash up on my camera and took like 2 quick shots and popped it back down, because no flash is always the rule. And if they catch you using a flash, they'll throw you out.
Right.
But I had to cheat to get that picture, but it was worth it because his face was perfectly lit up in that shot. And it was only because I cheated.
It's an absolute gorgeous picture.
Speaking of cheating, let me ask you, do you ever use like, I guess it's not cheating, but say in a situation where you had a great shot, but the face was dark, there's filters now, and there's ways you could bring out those discrepancies and kind of fix them digitally. Are you against that? Are you old school or what?
Oh no, I'm not against that at all. There's the software that I use to process photos. You can do all that kind of stuff. And I kind of equate it to a guitarist EQing. You can record the perfect guitar track in the studio, but you can always make it better when you add a little EQ to it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm doing, is just EQing my photos.
Nice.
Right on. Now, Eric, I want to ask you this, and maybe Joe can chime in on this as well. When is a photographer a pain in the ass for you as the musician?
They're never a pain to me. I mean, unless I know that they're taking pictures from a bad angle, which, like I said, would be like the back, whatever, the side, because I'm maybe not paying attention to them as much. But if I could see them, I'll actually play up to the camera because I want good shots. I want them to have good shots of me. So if they could somehow get my attention a little bit, I'll like actually go over there and do some poses and stuff to help them out and myself.
Right. Do you find that happens a lot, Joe, where people do try to pull you into taking the shot?
I kind of like that sometimes. The first time that happened was Rudolf Schenker with the Scorpions. And I hadn't been really shooting very long at that point, and he came running out on stage during the first song and ran right up to me and was pointing right at me, and he had this angry look on his face, and I thought he was pissed at me that I was in the wrong spot or something. I didn't know what was going on, and then I realized, oh my God, the guy's actually mugging for me. And that's always great when they do that. And the band that's best for that is KISS.
Right.
The first three songs, they don't even notice the crowd. They are just focused on the photographers. And that's why ever since you were 7 years old, every picture of KISS you saw was fucking great, because that's a priority for them, and it's smart. That's why there's so many.
The rule, right? I mean, they usually will say like, okay, photos just for the first 3 songs.
Sometimes it's first 2. If it's only 1 song, I won't even do the show.
Once we get sweaty, you will cease your photography immediately.
For Garth Brooks, it was the first 30 seconds of like the first couple songs.
He gets sweaty very fast.
And who's the dumbass that's going to sit there with a stopwatch and stop everybody after 30 seconds? So yeah, some of the rules are ridiculous. But I used to hate the 3-song rule, but I love it now because I can usually get what I want in 3 songs, and I can get out of there. I can beat the traffic home. It takes me 2 or 3 hours to process my photos. Most places that I shoot for need them by the open of business the next day. Right. So if I stayed for the whole show, I'd be up till 4 or 5 in the morning. So I can get out of there, especially places like Blossom, Chris, that is a traffic nightmare. Oh, yeah. If you wait till the end of the show, it'll take you 2 hours just to get out of the parking lot. Mm-hmm. So I get out of there after 3 songs. I sail home, and I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, unless it's a good show. And that's always, and I do want to bring that up because this pisses me off. When you told me this, I wanted to start calling people, but I cannot believe that when you're doing an absolute service for basically free for the venues, because let's face it, you're showcasing that the venue looks good. That's kind of what you're doing. And then they tell you got to get the fuck out because you didn't buy tickets to an event that you're working. That's bullshit, man.
Well, some shows I can stay, like Blossom. A lot of times I can just check my camera and sit on the lawn and watch the show if I want to. But most of the shows, it's really regimented. I mean, you have no ability to do anything outside of what they tell you to do. They lead you to the stage. If it's in the pit or the soundboard, they stand there while you're shooting, and then they lead you away. And if you don't have a ticket, they take you to the door. And I don't really think it. I don't have any animosity to them for doing that. It's just the way things work. If you don't have a ticket, you don't have a ticket. And I've been doing it long enough. If I want to see a show, most of the time I can just ask, and they'll put me on the guest list for a ticket. I can check my camera, and then I can check out the show.
Yeah, but there's you're talking about pit courtesy. To me, there's journalistic courtesy, and the ever famous journalist row does exist. I've sat in journalist row a million times at venues, and there's always 10 seats that are empty, in the first 10 rows somewhere, because that's where the journalists are supposed to sit. And when the venues get cheap on that, that's just weak sauce,
Well, and how cheap are some of those promoters and some of those venues and stuff nowadays? I mean, they're as cheap as like iHeart or Cheap Channel or any of those places. So they don't give a shit.
No,
they don't care. Thanks for the photos. Get the fuck out of here. You know,
now
that's the way
beat it.
works.
And make sure you spell the name of our venue right.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
With all these stupid venue names. I hate these stupid corporate venue names.
Yeah. I don't even know any of them anymore. It's still Nautica. It's still Jacobs Field. It's still the Q.
I call the Q. It's one letter. It's easy to type.
Yeah.
It's better than
call the San Diego Sports Arena Jack Murphy Stadium. You know.
Yeah. It's all. We don't need to change the name every 10 years.
It's changed like 20 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Rocket Mortgage Field House. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Mattress Firm Arena.
Yeah, it's all craziness now. The crypto bankrupt center or whatever. You know,
Bankruptcy Center, the crypto.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what. Every place has these weird, stupid names now, and it's like, how are you supposed to remember this shit?
The Depend Undergarments Arena.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. We did a lot of drugs and alcohol when we were going to these venues. We don't remember this shit.
They should sell Depends at the merch booth instead of tour shirts. They should have tour diapers now that we're getting so fucking old. You know.
We got Petco Park. We got Petco Parks.
Petco Park.
But the cool thing is that's what it was when they made it. So I'm used to calling it that. We got our own baseball here in San Diego place.
Nice. Is that what that's called now? Petco Park?
Petco Park.
Ugh, that's horrible. That's terrible. Yeah. So Joe, let's talk people that suck. Let's
How much time do you have?
I got plenty. I mean, I love this story, and I don't know that I know you've told it on CMS, but this is a somewhat different audience. Tell us about your good friend Marilyn Manson.
He's just a huge asshole, as everybody knows. And he just likes to fuck with photographers.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to spit on photographers. He tried to spit on me. And if you don't want a photographer at your show, just don't credential them to shoot the show. And he would grab a red Solo cup with water in it and walk across the stage while he was singing and pretend like he had nothing going on. And then he would turn at the last moment and just try and shower someone's equipment to ruin their gear. I mean, when I'm doing a show, I've got about $5,000 worth of shit around my neck.
Right.
And this asshole's trying to throw water on my gear.
Piercy does that to me every show. He gets water. He gets the water off the drum riser, and he thinks it's super cool. He'll pour it all over the cymbals, and it's usually a borrowed kit that we have. And so it's like recently the owner of the kit got so pissed at that. He poured water all over it so that when Scotty would hit the cymbals, it would splash water up, which is a cool visual effect. And then he goes, I'll be standing there rocking out, and they'll go, yeah. And he just the water just goes, it just lands all over my guitar and the pickups. I'm like, God damn it. I always try, when I see him about to do it now, I kind of turn and kind of walk away a little bit because I can see it coming. But
you'd probably get electrocuted from that, couldn't you?
I think I might. I might have a case here.
Just pretend like you're electrocuted one time. Just start convulsing and shit and fall on the floor and see what he does.
I might have to do that.
I think you did do that. Didn't you do that last summer, Eric? Or was that a real heart attack? Now the truth's coming out.
Sadly, that was real.
If you have a show on April 1st, that's when you should do it.
There you go.
Right, there you go.
Nice. Well, other people go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to continue with the Marilyn Manson thing.
Ahead.
So I was talking to this girl who was from one of the services. I don't know if it was Associated Press or Getty or somewhere like that, where she traveled to Cleveland for the show. Actually, it was in Youngstown.
Sure.
At Covelli. And she said that he actually spit on her at a show where he actually spit on her face. And so she shot him the next time he came through town. I think it might have been in San Diego or somewhere in California. And she said she filled up a water bottle with her own piss and had it in her camera bag. And when he came to the front of the stage and was leaning down, she grabbed the water bottle and squeezed the side of it and showered him with her own piss. And that's probably the greatest story any photographer has ever told me in 20 years.
That's fucking hysterical.
He probably liked it though. That's the sad
That's what I was just thinking. He was like, thanks.
Yeah.
It's like, tasty.
You know what? One time I saw the band The Prodigy. You remember them?
Yeah.
Sadly, the guy died. The fire starter. That guy, he passed away. But when I went and saw him, I remember it was kind of gnarly. I didn't know what to expect with that band. They had there was a black dude in the band, and he had all these kung fu moves. He was like, yeah, and then they would whatever. And then that guy like, I'm the fire starter. But then he bent over. There was like a pit of people there. And I remember he like bent over and just spit. It was like, he might have had a bunch of water in his mouth. I don't know, but he spit, and this chick in the front row was just like, yeah. Like she liked it. She liked that shit.
Yuck.
Keep your hands and your fucking body fluids off of me. You know,
I think times have changed. That wouldn't fly nowadays.
You can throw me out if you don't want me to shoot. You can say anything, but just keep your personal shit off of me. You know,
right?
Dude, do you shoot or have you shot the bands that use like props, like an ICP or a GWAR or whatever?
Yeah, I shot GWAR, but I shot from the balcony at House of Blues. There was no way I was going to be down in the pit for that show.
Do people get in the pit to shoot that?
No, I mean, no, I've never seen anybody. My one venue security guy who was in charge of the venue security at House of Blues was a good friend of mine, and he was standing there inside the pit. And after the third song, he was just covered in blood and fake spooge and everything. And he had this look on his face like his dog just died. And I zoomed in and got a great picture of him, and it hangs on the wall in his house now.
That is so funny.
Because the odor has just showered him for 3 songs.
Right. How about this guy I got on screen right now? How's he?
I've never had any problem with Dave.
Okay.
I shot Megadeth 3 or 4 times.
What the hell is he wearing there? A Hold That Tiger shirt? Hold that tiger. Hold that tiger.
I'm always try and really make it a point to. I don't want to attract anybody's attention on stage.
Right.
My biggest fear is that I'm going to piss somebody off on stage, and they're going to say something into the mic and point at me, and everybody's sight is going to be directed on me. That's like my biggest fear. Although that did happen one time, and it was kind of cool because it was Joe Jonas. I got thrown out of the pit at House of Blues by Joe Jonas for shooting him.
Very nice.
Does that give me like street cred?
Yeah, I see a metal card intact.
He had vocal tracks going on.
Right.
And the second song, the end of the song, the band like stopped cold, but his vocals trailed like after the band.
Right.
And he took the mic away from his mouth, and the kept going. And I may or may not have been a little buzzed when I shot that show, because how do you go to see Joe Jonas unless you smoke a joint or two, you know?
Right.
And I just burst out laughing when he took the mic away and the vocals continued. I just burst out laughing, and he just pointed at me and pointed like that. And I was like, okay. I left and got out of there after 2 songs.
We just saw that with Alanis Morissette recently.
Yeah.
She threw somebody out.
No, we just
saw
saw
the power went out at the gig. The power went out and something on stage, but there were still vocals coming out. I don't know.
I saw that once with and I still remember the show. It was White Zombie and the Ramones, and Rob Zombie was doing his bullshit. He's like that, you know, that he does the shaking his head back and forth thing, and the vocals were coming, and he hit himself in the face with the microphone, and he's doing that shit, and he dropped the microphone, and the vocals just kept on coming. Yeah. And the worst part was the microphone went forward into the pit. So he couldn't even quickly pick it up, and he just kind of walked over to like what was the girl's name? Sean's microphone, and pretended like he was singing into her mic then.
You know what? I saw Eminem do something interesting where, like, because, you know, these rappers, they got a lot of words they got to remember.
Sure.
And I've only been to a couple live rap shows, and you know, but Eminem, he stopped singing and this track was going, but it was like kind of quietly going. It wasn't as loud as his vocal, and I think it was there to remind him of where he was, maybe. I've seen the Beastie Boys not use that shit and mess up, you know, where they had to like stop and go, oh, gotta, because once he like lost the groove, he was like, fuck, I'm never gonna get this.
I'd rather have that than someone karaokeing their own shit, you know. I shoot these pop stars like Britney Spears or Katy Perry or Madonna, and they're running around the stage, and the vocals are perfect. I mean, they're perfect, and they're running they have those little, you know, Time Life subscription mics on their face, and they're running around, and things are perfect. And then between songs, they actually turn their mic on so they can talk to the crowd, and they're out of breath, and then the song starts, and again, it's back to being completely picture perfect. There's actually a video of Britney Spears. She had a front of house sound engineer that I think was disgruntled and quit or got fired. and they were doing a DVD. They were recording a video, and he actually recorded the actual vocal track that she was singing into her mic, and then he overdubbed it into the actual video.
Nice.
If you just go to YouTube and put in like Britney Spears' real voice, it's the most horrific thing you've ever heard.
I'll bet.
It's gut wrenching, and that's
Nice.
that's what they really, some of those people really sound.
Yeah, it's a crime. But I'll tell you what's not a crime, dude. This kittencrazy.org is the website, I believe, correct?
Yes, kittencrazy.org, and there's a banner on the front page that will take you to all the auctions. And there's 100, I think, that are going on. And they're not auctions, they're just buy it now. So you can just go on and buy a photo. If you want a photo, it's a fixed price. You don't have to, the auction won't take it up to $80 or $90. You can just buy it for a fixed price. And there's a lot of other packages where there's like 3 or 4 photos included, like for a Scorpions listing or whatever. There's photos of each band member and stuff like that. So
is this Kitten Crazy? Like, is the crazy with a K?
They're both with K's. Kitten and Crazy are both K's. Kittencrazy.org. Yeah.
Okay. Kittencrazy.org, everyone.
That's right. Kittencrazy.org. Joe, how long are the auctions going to be running for?
They're going to run until Monday or Tuesday, but since they're buy it nows, I might leave them up a little bit longer. Okay. That photo you just put up, that was one of the first non-local bands I ever shot. Saxon at Peabody's.
Yeah. Saxon, great. What's his? I'm not the hugest fan of Saxon. I will admit that. I mean, they're cool, but I don't know. I never thought that they were like the second coming, like a lot of people do. But Biff is the nicest guy in the world. I mean,
Biff is great. I'm a fan of about their first 6 or 7 records, maybe up until Rock the Nations. I don't know what album number that was, but I love all those albums.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the original, the early stuff's good. The latter stuff's been really good too. Pretty heavy and
there's always about 3 or 4 songs on every album that are just incredibly great.
Well, if you like Biff, not to give myself a plug here because this is Joe's segment, but you can catch my interview with Biff tomorrow on CHRIS AKIN Presents.
Nice.
We'll actually be live tomorrow or tonight at midnight, actually.
Sweet. Well, feel free to use that photo if you want.
I will be using it, and you can bet on that. Well, Joe, one more time, kittencrazy.org. The auctions are going on now. It is, in all seriousness, I know we're talking about rock and dickheads and metal and everything else, but let's be honest. This is these kind of charities need to happen. And even coming from me, the biggest non-pet guy there is, these kind of charities need to happen because if there's not anybody putting the money into keeping these kind of organizations afloat, then you know what's going to happen. They're going to be taking these animals, they're going to be sticking them in the neck with a needle, and they're going to be unloading them at the crematory by the hundreds.
They're going to be putting them in Chinese food.
Yes. Or there's going to be 100 cats shitting in your backyard. You know?
That's right. That too.
And it really is a great place. They adopt out over 650 cats a year.
Wow.
Nice.
And they're only open 5 days a week. So they adopt out a lot of cats. They're doing really great work. If a cat gets hit by a car, comes in, has to have its paw amputated or its eye removed, those surgeries are thousands of dollars.
Sure.
And they pay for that to happen. And the adoption fee is still the same, $100 or $110 or whatever the current rate is. So they do eat a lot of money in keeping these cats healthy and making them healthy and getting them ready for adoptions. And it's just really a great place. A lot of places like the APL, you go in and there's a wall of cages and you're trying to gauge a cat's personality looking through a cage.
You're traumatized, yeah.
And the cats don't like being in a cage no more than the human likes being in jail. And at Kitten Crazy, they're all free roaming. So the cats are a lot more comfortable. Their true personalities come out. It's just really, it's a great place. I really love volunteering there. I wouldn't work for free if it wasn't a really great place. I wouldn't offer my photos for free,
right?
To give 100% of the proceeds of selling my photo. Believe me, I need the money. I'd rather keep it for myself, but I love doing this for them because they're truly a worthy organization. And
do they want a picture of my Nani with the gun of Chris?
Probably not.
Buy it now?
Probably not. Well, one more time, kittencrazy.org is the website. JoeKleon.com is the website after the auctions. Once you've bought something from the auction, once you realize how great the art is, then you go to JoeKleon.com and you buy some more art.
Yeah, if you have any artist requests, let me know, and I'll let you know if I've shot them. I have 1,500 shows in my portfolio over 20 years. And you can also check out Kitten Crazy on Facebook as well. And again, it's 2 Ks, Kitten and Crazy, are both with Ks. And it's just really a great, when you walk in there, it's just such a different vibe from any other shelter that you've ever been in. Right
on. Well, Joe, it's been great having you on the show here, man. And I hope that some of our listeners will go over there and buy something from the auction. One more time, kittencrazy.org. And Joe, thanks so much for joining us here.
And my one more thing real quick. My friend Anastasia Pantios, who's a legendary Cleveland photographer from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I do art gallery exhibits with her. She's donated some photos, like some photos from the legendary Motorhead show at the Variety Theater that you know about, Chris. And you know, David Bowie's first show in the United States was in Cleveland at Music Hall.
Right.
And she has photos of that from 1972, and she has some really iconic photos. So she has donated some as well. So there's a lot of really great stuff on those 100 things on eBay. Not just my stuff, but early stuff from the 70s and really iconic photos from her. So
excellent.
I hope to see everybody there. And yeah, Kitten Crazy is really a great organization, and they really deserve the help. And if you don't want a photo, you can still go to kittencrazy.org and just donate.
There you go. Well, do something, people. Stop being cheap fucks. Do something good.
My Nani's gonna bust a cap.
And you've been great about helping me promote these in the past, Chris, and I really appreciate that. Even though you're not a cat guy, you're still cool enough to let me do that, and that's real, I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
It's all good, man. Not a problem.
You got to do CMS again, where we come over with a bottle of bourbon and we sit down, and at 9 o'clock and after midnight, we're just having fun. Yeah,
Exactly.
talking to your virtual girlfriend. What was
That's
her
right,
name?
Rhonda.
Yeah.
with my what was my Jaja and Charo, my pet turtles.
That was hilarious. That was so fun.
So many people have emailed that's the funniest thing they've ever heard.
When I was driving home, my side actually hurt from laughing so hard for 6 hours with your Rhonda stories.
That shit was funny. But all right, man. Kittencrazy.org is the website. JoeKleon.com is his website. And Joe, thanks so much for joining us here on CHRIS Akin Presents.
I love you, Chris. Thank you, my bud.
All right, brother. Take care, man.
Peace.
All right, peace. The Classic Metal Show now has all of our videos on Spotify. Simply look up and subscribe to the CMS Network on Spotify, and you'll get the audio and video podcast episodes each day from the Classic Metal Show. It's never been easier to watch or listen to Neely and Chris, so simply open Spotify, subscribe to the CMS Network, and enjoy the Classic Metal Show every single day. And we are back right here on CHRIS Akin Presents. Look at Erik dancing over there and shit. He's a tough guy. And that's a TUFF guy. And so is this guy.
Tough guy.
There's another tough guy. It's Stevie.
What's up, man? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, man.
Because I don't have any, I got Chris's instructions, which were like this long about what I need to do. And I'm like, can I just log on and click go?
Yeah, it's working. It's working. You're good. How are you, man?
Well, you can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
I can't hear you have an ear function.
You're fine.
Say it again.
Don't listen to him. He's a douche. You're fine, man.
Okay.
So Stevie, you put me in a precarious situation here. You know the other show is tied heavily to Dokken, and you put out this story on Don right as we have this show to do. Couldn't you have waited till tomorrow?
It honestly, none of it even crossed my mind that it was interlinked, and while I do know that Neely is obviously super tight, works with Don, you guys do a bunch of stuff. Trust me, it was just, it wasn't like that. Like I literally got, I don't know, somebody sent, I'll keep their name anonymous. It's one of our contemporaries, comrades in the industry send me this on like, I don't know, Thursday or Friday.
Right.
He goes, dude, can it get any worse? And I'm like, is it that bad? He goes, watch it. So I did. And then when I do these articles, it's usually just spur of the moment. You know what? That needs attention. So then I worked on it. And you know, I might even been working on that as somehow. When did we get on the phone, Erik?
Are you talking about today, or was it yesterday?
No,
right?
that was like 3 days ago, right? 4 days ago.
Yeah, it was like Wednesday or something.
On here, and
it was like Wednesday.
I think me and Erik only talked in the last couple of days, and then we said, hey, let's do this on Monday. So yeah, it wasn't meant to put you in any kind of tight squeeze, Chris. My apologies.
I have been known to have thick skin. I can handle anything that comes at me, and since I have nothing to do with it, it's like, okay, I will comment on it if we talk about it, but I mean, I don't disagree with many of your points.
I gotta see it. I saw it that you posted it, but I didn't actually watch the clip yet. I feel bad watching that.
So you haven't watched the clip or read my article per se.
Right. I browsed the thing going down. I went, uh-oh.
Right.
Well, I've read and watched, and I'm just, look, the facts are the facts. Any performer, I'm going to take Don out of it for a minute.
Right.
Any performer that is charging money should give their best effort, whatever that means. And it doesn't mean their best effort from 10 o'clock till 11:30. It means their best effort to get to 10 o'clock when they get on stage.
Right.
Whatever that requires to do. If that requires extra sleep, if that requires not drinking before the show, not eating bullshit food before the show. Look, I do this as just a dumb side thing.
Don't snort flocka before the show.
Exactly. But the one thing I know I don't do anymore that I used to do, and I listen to old tapes and I hate it, is I used to get fucked up before I would do a show.
Right.
And then I would start listening back to it, and some of it was funny, but a lot of it was me just stumbling over myself because my mouth wouldn't engage as fast as my brain, or vice versa, and then it was bad.
Right.
And I think that gets lost. I think it gets lost on a lot of performers, not just Don, not just Roth or Vince or whoever we're going to name. I think these guys have been coddled for so long and have been told that everything that they do is great for so long that they forget what it took to get there to be great.
Right.
And that's kind of my stance.
I think it's Groundhog Day. I think it's a Bill Murray Groundhog Day thing where these guys have been playing the same set every day for like 50 years. And they're just like, finally like, whatever, let's try it on acid this time.
And here's the thing. Whether they have played the same set for, at Dawn, it's 40 years plus.
Mm-hmm.
Aerosmith and Kiss, they've done some of the same songs for 50 years, standing on stage next to some of the same guys. Motley's 40, Rat's 40 plus, meaning how long these guys have been performing. I've been doing this since 1985 and am tough since 87. So I'm coming up on 40 years,
right?
But whether Don is good or bad or horrible or pathetic or great to some people, everybody has an opinion, and that's merely what I've given here. This is my opinion. And, the way people perceive Metal Sludge, it's varied over the years.
Right.
But in the last many years, obviously, there's been a face to this now for 15 plus years.
Right.
For the first 5-6 years of the site, nobody really knew for sure, But at this point, I speak on things that move me, that change me, that make me think, that make me react, whether it's, me writing a story about, do I take all my clothes off when I go to the bathroom? Or do I just pull my pants down? And I'll put something like that on social media to stimulate everybody's answers and questions and reactions. And people like, dude, are you really asking that? It's like, yeah, I am. You know, I'm if you don't want to participate, you don't have to. But as far as Don's concerned, as we know, these videos have been going on for a while. Like I wrote in my article, what we're observing here is a train wreck of monumental proportions. And the train has been wrecking for years. It's just continuing to go. So, and it's not like Don has a whole bunch of, you know, good shows or a couple of great shows, and then some subpar ones, and then a really bad one. There's been a lot of really bads, you know? And so fans talk about it. They talk about Motley Crue or Vince skipping words. They talk about maybe Piercy not having what he once had. They talk about Paul Stanley maybe not having what he once had. But all of those guys, Steven, Paul, Vince, like I said in my article, in all phases of the game, those guys blow Don out of the water. You know, there's effort there, even down to the clothes. You know, Piercy's rocking some cool clothes. Paul's putting on shit that we wear for Halloween, and we're like, Jesus Christ, got to put all this on. You know, people wear a Kiss costume. I mean, that's a lot of stuff.
Right.
Vince is putting out the effort. You know, these guys are doing more, I think, than Don is. And that's me putting that out there as facts. Like Don walks out in a trench coat, doesn't want to shave. You know, we get it. You don't want to wear leather pants and shiny boots or sunglasses like you used to in 86. All good. But there is a lack of effort, and there's also a level of arrogance that he carries himself with. And that arrogance is not just the fans that are seeing that. Don himself, I was looking through old interviews. He's said himself in multiple occasions, including some that I screen captured, I'm not arrogant. That's just what I do. It's like he's kind of like defining himself. It's like, you know, you're arrogant because people have been accusing you of it for a while. So when he says, I don't need the money, I'm not broke. I'm good. It's like, okay, then why are you doing it? I mean, if he just said, hey, I want to go out there because I want to have fun. I want to tour. I want to see the world. I want to see my friends or whatever, you know?
Right. Do you think, and I don't know that this is true or it's not true, but I'm making a guess. And I said this to you yesterday, but we didn't really get into it too much.
Right.
Do you think that he just still tours because he doesn't know what else to do? He just doesn't know how to retire. Like he's probably petrified about the thought of staying home.
Yeah. Oh, you're drinking a Red Bull there too?
Yes. I don't care if my heart explodes.
Proved that last summer.
Well, after I get done here, I'm going to the gym. So need a little pick me up here. You know, I don't know what Don's reason is. I don't know what Steven Tyler's reason is. I don't know what anybody's reason is. You know, a lot of those guys, all of those guys are way better off than I am, or I'm pretty sure they are. So everybody has a reason. And we also get that, as I noted in my article, that age affects all of us differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some guys at 50 look 70. Some guys at 25 look 40. You know, some guys that are 62 look like they're 39. So the genetic lottery, you know, George won that in that group, you know?
Oh yeah.
You know, he's I think 2 birthdays away from 70. The guy's got fucking more hair than most of us had when we were 30. And he's in great shape. He still rips. You know, it seems like he's got his mind, even though Don's or George is a little rock and roll crazy at points. But
yeah,
you know, the across the board, the voice that Don had, and I shared in that article right below that video of Kiss of Death, them in Philadelphia in 1987, they open up with Kiss of Death. Don sounds absolutely fucking amazing.
Sure.
I mean, incredible. And as I said in my article, Don was absolutely well respected as an above average vocalist.
Right.
A great voice.
Definitely.
You know, amazing, sweet, clear melodies, you know, that scream, power, control. You know, he was a great singer. But whatever happened in the 80s and 90s, I mean, it's literally just nosedived in the last 10 to 15 years. And at this point, it's not even about whether he could hit all those highs. It's like there's something else going on where it sounds like he couldn't even speak clearly those words because
he's doing the Family Guy kind of voice, with a kiss of death. He's like, the low octave. He was still good. I was talking last week about the VH1 acoustic tour that happened in like 2006 that Kip Winger was on. That's why I was talking to him about when he was on last week. But Don was on that tour too. He was still very good at that time.
Was Mark Bowles playing with him?
No, it was just him and Reb, I believe, Reb Beach.
That was that acoustic tour. Yeah.
Right.
I've seen some of those, and he used to do that with Mark Bowles as well, who can really sing. But I've seen some of those where Don did change the key, lower register melodies, but they were still, there's a couple of acoustic versions that he did of some of the songs online, and they're awesome. They're great. But
Bowles for a while was doing that high voice, and I think Sean McNabb was doing the upper register screams. And I don't know why McCarville doesn't do those upper register screams, because he's got that voice.
Right.
It's weird that he doesn't, but I don't know. I don't know. And I still go back to what I always say. I don't like it. I hate it because Don is a friend. For me, Don is a friend. And it honestly bothers me to see my friend just get his fucking ass handed to him every time he plays a show.
That's like me too. Like I thought it would be like seeing my dad get a DUI or something. Like I don't want to see that shit.
Yeah, it's painful, but at the same time, I got to stick with what I always say, which is I blame the fans.
Mm-hmm.
If nobody shows up, that shit's gonna stop. He's either gonna get better or get off the stage.
Right.
Him, Vince, Roth, whoever,
right,
Paul Stanley. Any one of them, if there's no money, they're not coming.
Right.
And that to me is the biggest failing is, these guys, any of these guys that are having trouble with their voice, they know that they don't have to get, it's like me and Neely had a conversation on CMS on Saturday. And this is a guy that can definitely sing, Wolfgang Van Halen.
Right.
But he's fucking as fat as me, which is not a good thing. So, by being
Wolfgang Von Aiken.
Yeah, really. He really is. I mean, Wolfie's a big boy. But
you weren't that big at 32.
No, I was not. I definitely was not. But my point is with Wolfie, and I said this, what is his inspiration to get in shape?
Right.
He's a multi-zillionaire because of his dad's money that I'm sure he's inherited a good amount of. He's got to be banging nines just because he's Wolfgang Van Halen. He's getting every tour that anybody in the world would want to get on as an unproven artist. And he really is an unproven artist. He's never even sold a gold record. He's never even sold 100,000 records.
Right.
So, he's unproven, he's fat, and he's, getting everything that could possibly be given to him. Where's his incentive to say, fuck it, I got to get in shape so that I can perform well?
Well, and here's another thing. He is also somebody that comes across, he's I don't know if it's bitter or angry, like when the whole thing with fans going, dude, you should throw in Panama at the end of the night. He gets mad. So fucking mad. Mm-hmm. And he gets in these huge wars with people over playing his dad's music or, any sense of that. Like that's been the whole thing for the longest time. Everybody thought, okay, Wolfgang Van Halen's going to come out, do his own record, which everybody, of course, hey, we're going to support it. We want to see you. You're the Golden One's kid, the only offspring of Eddie. And, but he's gotten in these huge arguments with people online and he comes across so angry and bitter. And at some point it's like, dude, you're not doing yourself the favor, which you could handle it differently. When Dave Grohl looked at him and said, dude, I want you to come for Taylor's thing and play Van Halen songs, he was fucking there in a second, But if somebody said, hey, can you play one of those at one of your shows? He's going to tell the chick she's a cunt. The other guy, he's a fucking wash up. Get away from me. Stop following me. I'm making, you know, when he says stuff like, I'm carving my own path. I did it on my own.
No, you didn't.
Come on. Like,
no, you didn't. If his name was Wolfgang Johnson, no one would know of him.
I was just going to say, if he was my kid, you know, he'd be playing the whiskey on Thursday night's first slot, you know? Yeah. So when you say you did it on your own or carved your own path, it's like, come on, that's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
and
it's not a little bit of a stretch. Is he talented?
Yes, he can sing. He's put some great music together. Obviously, he's multi-instrumental, playing all the different stuff. But think about it. Van Halen put out six records before those guys were 30. They were already on the Van Hagar era by the time they were 30.
Right.
So I don't, you know, it's weird. Like, I wonder why Wolfgang didn't do a little bit more with this earlier. And it wasn't until his dad died that suddenly he did rush the record out and now he's playing. And I'm not trying to say there's any reasoning behind that, but at this point, like you said, he's being handed, like, go do these Guns N' Roses stadium dates. Go do these
Metallica.
Yeah.
He's on a Metallica tour.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's having, he's definitely, there's no struggle there. Like you said, what's the inspiration? You know, my thought is when I see a new band of young kids and I know that they're all pitching in for rehearsal, or the guys are trying to scrape up money for guitar strings or drumsticks, or looking through the dumpster behind SIR because they were going to use somebody else's old snare heads. That's what we did as bands, you know, when we were 17, 18, 20, 22. Sure. Trying to get to that next level, you know.
Do you think he's buying in, you guys? Do you think he's buying in on these tours? He has the money to do it.
No way.
No, because I'll tell you what, Live Van Halen has an alternative motive here. This is a Van Halen.
Right.
Yeah. They can't sell a Van Halen tour right now.
No.
Eddie's gone. And if there is any semblance of a Van Halen tribute with Alex, Dave, Michael, Sammy, any of those, at some point, Wolfie's going to have some kind of involvement in that. So by giving Wolfie this little bit of love, Live Nation is like, you know, this is always going to be a Van Halen kid. So, and the Van Halen brand and name is valuable.
Right.
So there's no way that, you know, they're saying to him, yeah, you want to open up for Guns N' Roses? Well, we need, you know, $250,000 up front for the tour. There's no way, like Chris just said, there's no way he's paying for that because he's royalty, you know. They're gonna he's getting grandfather claused in.
He is picking and choosing those shows. He's not playing dive bars and whatever, like, because I mean that's a drag. I mean to tour, you know, as fun as people think it is, it's draining. You know what I mean? And I think that I don't even know if he's cut out to be on the road for 6 months or more. You know,
the smallest thing that he's done that I'm aware of was House of Blues. He did a short, and that was a short run. That was like 7 dates or 10 dates or something. That was not like extended. And then he was off to do Guns N' Roses.
Right.
You know, it's like he's off to do Guns N' Roses at stadiums. This summer, he's going to be opening for Metallica and Pantera.
Right.
All summer.
Right.
You know, and what has he done? He hasn't proven anything.
And he's not in a van or a motorhome. We know that.
No.
He's in $1 million Prevost.
Well, or he's even flying to the dates and then he's getting, you know, picked up in a car, you know, an SUV, an Escalade. The band might be touring every single day in a Prevost, but you know, here's the thing. He does have that value. You know, when Good Morning America wants to interview Eddie's kid, or when Jimmy Kimmel, they don't have the whole band there.
No.
You know, unless they're going to play, but it's Wolfgang coming in. It's Wolfgang going to the radio station. It's Wolfgang, and rightfully so. You know, no diss to the other guys. They're all named guys too from this band or that band, but their marquee, their name is not marquee. It's like, oh, we have the bassist from Atreyu here or something. That doesn't get any clicks for the radio station or the TV station, but Wolfgang does because
Eddie was that way too, though. I mean, the only time that he let the band get involved in anything was that MTV Van Halen Unleashed or something in the 80s. Other than that, he was the one going on Saturday Night Live, making appearances. He wasn't going with the band.
Sammy did.
Sammy was out doing interviews back then.
Yeah, Sammy but Sammy had a solo career too, so
maybe.
But things were different too. Like what Van Halen did at the end of the 70s, all through the 80s and 90s, things were still happening on both those, the Van Halen and the Van Hagar era. But then at one point, Eddie did become a little bit of a recluse, when him and Sammy split. And then, I'm sure it was a little bit of a slap in the face, but the Gary Sharon project,
that was a fail.
that didn't go anywhere. And so that had to be an ego, burst,
slap, right?
And he was staying up there in that, Canyon house and studio there, what is it, Coldwater or Laurel Canyon, where he's, his estate was, right. And he was basically unheard of for a long period of time. And then we'd see something on the news. There's talks. Dave was seen talking to Eddie, or he talked to so-and-so. And we heard that shit going on for 10 or 15 years. And then eventually they did do the tour with Dave, but that's when they brought in Wolfgang. Like, hey, you're going to skip school because you're going on tour.
Yeah. It's nuts.
As a 16-year-old.
It's crazy.
So weird.
Well, let's move forward to the Monsters of Rock cruise.
Yep.
Yes.
Erik is so excited about going, but he's also fearful because he's never been on a boat. So the last week, both Frank Hannon and Kip Winger told Erik that he has nothing to fear, but I know you've done 4 or 5 of them, so you can give him the rundown. What can he expect? Is it going to be fun, or is it just a bunch of annoying fucking fans bugging him?
And start at the beginning. Start at what Stevie Rochelle packs in his suitcase. I want to know how much luggage you bring on a cruise like this. How many bathing suits?
Well, Erik, I know you're just a couple years younger. Are you 50 yet?
I am 50. Yes.
Okay, so you remember Gilligan's Island?
You only brought one red shirt and some.
Yeah, that's going to be you. Hopefully, Ginger will get shipwrecked with you.
There you go.
No, I mean, hey, when we got the call about it, first one, I don't know, not quite 10 years ago, but I had just a little bit of apprehension because I'm not a boat person either. When I say boat person, I've lived in Southern California since the summer of 1987. I've never put my foot in the ocean yet.
Really?
Never. I've been to Venice Beach. I've been to Santa Monica Pier, but I've never put my foot in the ocean. I'm not a water person. And never went, wasn't into fishing. And I tooled around on some boats once in a while back in my youth, and, the lakes in Wisconsin and the rivers and all that. But when I was like, we're going to go on this big ship, and I was thinking I'm going to be claustrophobic. And I did tell this to Erik on the phone. I was thinking, is this going to be like I'm at the Rainbow Bar and Grill for 5 days straight?
Right.
Everybody drinking, surrounded by, select members of Faster Pussycat who have not slept and not showered and just pouring down
Annie falling over it on everyone.
73rd beer, 2 days in. So I was kind of thinking, like, is that what it's going to be like? And then once I got on the ship, I was like, the ship is so big, for anybody that hasn't been, but you've been to Vegas. It's like when you go into a hotel in Vegas.
Right.
You walk into the lobby, you check in, just like these ships too. When you check in, it's almost like you're checking into a hotel. They take your credentials, you give them your information. They even take a photo of you. They give you some key card or some bracelet that opens your room.
They take a photo of you?
Yeah. In case you do bad stuff,
So they can find you. It's
here's
him.
the thing. You're leaving the country. So it's kind of like it's like you're going out of the country, like customs. You're going through customs.
You're showing your passport when you're getting on
Erik,
this thing.
Don't forget your passport like Michael Grant did, because you will not get on the ship.
What a goof. I remember that.
Chris, do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, LA Guns went down there and Michael Grant didn't bring a passport. So yeah, you're leaving the country. So there's some level of strictness compared to the average, like, hey, we're walking backstage at M3. When you're getting on the ship, you'll go through metal detectors. You might even see a host of immigration officers, German shepherds, sniffing bags, the whole deal.
Okay.
So if you smoke pot, don't bring any of that either. Just, just a heads up, you know.
Yeah, I was I was curious about that. I was just watching a video yesterday. There's a ghetto. It was called like a ghetto cruise. It's like a $50 ghetto cruise or something. It's on YouTube anyway. But that guy was saying they was not only smelling weed all over the place, but there was guys banging on his door asking if he wanted to buy any. It was weird. But yeah, dog sniffing. I wonder if they could smell like vape kind of stuff.
Dude,
like
just go a week without the pot.
No,
1 week.
Yeah, no, I mean seriously
And
though,
they smell gummies.
If you do partake in some of that stuff, I would advise not to travel with it onto a ship because
no, I don't want to take flour with me or anything. But I mean, the thought crossed my mind. I'm like, well, like a gummy or like a vape cartridge or something.
Just drink.
No, Google it. I'm telling you, if you Google it, I've seen something because I just traveled to Brazil and Australia and Thailand, and I've been using CBD oil to sleep.
Okay.
And it's, in California, as you know, Eric, it's now that stuff's legal. You can literally go to the corners. They have these shops like 7-Elevens. You can go in there.
That's where I go.
Yeah, all kinds of gummies and sleep aids.
Right.
But I was very unsure of it. And I'm not a pot smoker, but I do use the CBD oil, and it's got some level of THC in it. So I Googled it, and I couldn't get a clear answer. And then at some point, I've done this, obviously traveled a lot, and also did the cruises a lot. But in the last year, the first thing I thought of is, I don't want to be Brittany Griner. I don't want to be getting off the plane somewhere and them going, sir, what are these little packages in your
Sure.
backpack?
Sure.
Yeah, it's like, why don't you put these handcuffs on and come with us for a little while, for another year, as you sit in fucking jail because you didn't want to not bring your vape pen with you. So I was like,
well, there's Russia, there's China, there's places where you just don't f around with that.
Man,
you don't have to anywhere else. If you're leaving the country, I'm telling you, I've stepped on 31 different sets of soil.
Same.
And at this point, you do not want to fuck around with it.
Dude, I used to travel when it was cool, when everything was a whole lot less crazy, and you just don't want to do it. You don't want to take your Americanized view of how things should be and think that they're going to give two fucks about how you think things should be.
Right.
They don't care. You are the enemy as the white gringo from America. You need to follow the fucking rules, or you will have way more problems than you ever wanted.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can do this too, Eric. Google it. I've Googled some stuff, and there's some incidents where people did get basically pulled aside. I don't know if they were arrested or charged or held or not allowed to board the ship because of gummies in their carry-ons.
Oh, damn! Wow.
Not saying it's going to happen or it's happened every time.
They can smell those edibles and stuff have a scent for sure. You could smell those. I would assume that the dogs were more looking for explosives and stuff like that. But...
Well, let me tell you something. I'm coming back from Germany, right? This is, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 years ago. I'm at LAX down in that customs thing in that basement. And I'm walking in, I got my backpack, and there's 5 or 6 flights come in, China, Korea, Germany, London, Paris. Like, it's just a clusterfuck of people down there, 2,000 people. And at some point, I see a couple of the sheriff guys, with the badges, and they let this Cocker Spaniel go. This thing's fucking racing between bags, runs right up to me and sits right down next to me.
Oh, fabulous.
And now, the dog's running way ahead. The cops are like, 50 meters away. They're kind of slowly sauntering up. They're like, hey, how are you today, sir? And I'm like, I'm great. They're like, where are you coming from? I'm like, Germany. They're like, what's in your bag? I said, I guarantee you there is nothing illegal in my bag. I don't use drugs. I'm not carrying drugs. He goes, got any fruit in there? I said, I don't know. He goes, why don't you look? So I look at I got one of these backpacks with fucking 8 zippers in it. So I'm going through. Sure as shit, there was an apple in there, that I pulled off of, when you leave the hotel lobby and they got the bowl of apples,
Yeah. I make bongs out of those.
Yeah, one point I grabbed an apple, threw it in my backpack, never ate it, sat in my backpack for a few days. And I'm telling you, that dog ran between 2,000 people, past 2,000 bags, and ran right up to me and sat next to me. And
for an apple.
For an apple. And I was like, a little tiny apple in this fucking thing that's the size of an arena full of people and bags and commotion.
Agriculture is a big concern for.
Yeah, they're strict on that. And so you could have a couple little gummies in there too, and that dog might be. Yeah,
I think you're right on that. It's risky because they have a smell. Anything with like any edible that's got weed in it, you could totally smell it. Now, a vape cartridge, I wasn't sure about, but then in an X-ray, they could potentially see that. And
So let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
I think I know Chris's answer, but Eric, have you ever watched Locked Up Abroad? Or
I just talked about it last week. I go, that's why I don't even want to get off the boat. That show freaked me out.
Any of those shows where they're like To Catch a Smuggler?
Yeah.
All these people think they're going to outsmart them, and they got the dog sniffing. They take the girl in the room. They're like, yeah, she had this package in her vagina. And the guy pulls out a fucking thing of Coke like this, had it smashed up her pussy for the whole flight. But dog sniffed it out, and now she's going to prison.
Yeah.
Right.
And don't think that President Puddinhead's going to get you out the way he did Brittany Griner, because it ain't going to happen.
So
President Puddinhead.
The cruise is awesome, though. Once I got on, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's like, it's so big, too. Like when you leave one floor to the next, or when you go in your room, Cinderella or Tesla, whatever, could be playing in the theater at max volume. Once you get 50 meters away from that entrance to that theater, you don't hear anything. So once you're in your cabin, once you're sleeping, when you're going to have dinner or breakfast, you're completely separated from the insanity. And there is multiple places to eat. There's usually anywhere from 3 to 5 concerts going on at once. Like Tesla could be playing in the theater, Firehouse on the pool stage, Rhino Bucket in level 12 at the C&R bar, Karabi Acoustic could be in the Black and White Lounge. Somebody else is doing stand-up comedy in the karaoke lounge. Like, there's so much stuff, and this is going on round the clock from noon to midnight every single day. It's nonstop.
Fun
places to eat, places to hang out, pizza, casino, a gymnasium, pools, hot tubs, a spa. You can get you and I aren't getting our hair done, but you can get your wife can get her hair done. You can get a massage. You can get your nails done. You can shop. There's ice cream parlors. It's pretty amazing, I will say.
It is. It's like a casino on water, basically. Like you're just going to a casino hotel that's on the.
It's like a city on water, really.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's
bigger than a casino.
Yeah, it's literally a city block long, and 15, 16, 18 stories high. So you're using elevators to go up and down. And when you first get on it, you're probably going to be so confused. You're going to be like, oh my God, I'm never going to find my way around here. But after you're on it for a day or so, you start to kind of break it down.
It's a big circle.
The front of the ship, the middle of the ship, and the back. What is, Chris, do you know what's the front called? The aft?
I don't know. The back is the stern, right? Is that right?
Bow.
You weren't in the fucking
I wasn't in the Navy. I was an Army guy.
You were in the Army, were you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's 3 sections to the ship: the front, the middle, and the back. And then there's obviously all these different levels. There's places to eat, and once you're on, there's only a few things you'll have to worry about: when you're going to play, and where you're going to play, and then where the meet and greet or the photo shoot with the fans and those kind of events are. So once you're on, the best thing to do, which most of us have done, once you're on the ship, you're like, okay, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, we have to play the Black and White Lounge. Let me see where that is. That's my first gig tomorrow. Like, I'm in my room. Let me leave. And the great thing is these ships are so modern that it's much like a mall as well. So when you're by the elevators or the escalators, they have those maps, kind of like you see in the mall. Like, you are here. You know, here's the
Nice.
pretzel shop. Here's the tennis shoe store. Here's Sears. Here's Prangieway. On this end is the Walmart. So it'll tell you, like, you're here, and these are the different areas. And then you can say, like, oh, black and white bar, I'm on 12. Oh, that's on level 14, and it's at the aft of the ship. It'll tell you, you can literally click that, like, touch it. In some of the most modern ships I've been on, there's almost like an iPhone type of thing outside the elevators. So that map is you can touch it, and you can go, I want to go there, and it'll tell you, go to level 12, exit the elevator, go to your left,
Nice.
50 meters, black and white bar. So
Party on,
pretty
dudes.
yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
show up looking cool or you will suck. You know, it's pretty amazing how modern facilities are.
Very good.
That's awesome. No, I did watch probably like all this weekend. My lady and I, Susan, watched these YouTube videos of the previous Monsters of Rock cruises just to get a vibe. And it's pretty cool, man, from what we're seeing. And it sounds like the bands get a decent room, which is nice.
Well, you probably won't, but no, you'll get good rooms. The only thing that happened one time for us is we got our 4 rooms, and my room was, I don't know, it had to be next where they were keeping the fish for the ship.
Oh no!
They were like gutting the cod. You know, I was like, why does my room smell like fish? There must be like, you know, some kind of an aquarium to the right here where they're keeping, you know, live fish that they're about to skin and fry tonight.
I've heard that, like, when I was watching the video about the ghetto cruise, the guy was telling us about it, I guess you'd say, and he said on certain levels there would be like a sewage smell, and then some didn't have it.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe you just weren't lucky, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, it's always been great. I will say this. Let me shout out Larry Moran. You know, he's the head honcho. These things are always very organized too. And when you get the actual schedule, you know, the itinerary for the day, aside from what you guys do as the Stephen Piercy band, you know, if you get on a Tuesday, you might play Wednesday night and then again Friday, you know, 2 different times. But you'll also see they'll hand you something that comes every day to your room, kind of like a schedule, and it'll literally be like a tour program, like 4 or 6 pages long each day. It'll be like
an itinerary. Yeah.
This is happening at 12:30. This is happening 12:45. This is happening.
Yeah.
And it's literally like every 15 minutes something else is happening. Aside from the shows, there's like Cooking with Rock Stars, you know, and Chad Stewart from Faster and Ted Poley and Billy and Todd from Tough, like all these guys that are kind of into their whole food thing, and they're like, hey, let's go to the pool stage. We're gonna make some type of food, and then they'll have judges. You know, Chips Enough is a judge, and this guy's a judge, and it's kind of fun to watch those. You know, some interactive stuff. You know, there'll be some jam sessions that they'll put together. Hey, we're gonna do a Kiss night on Friday, you know, from 10 until midnight in the.
Who's signing up? Come on, guys.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, you know, who wants to play Deuce? Who wants to play Black Diamond? Who wants to sing Lick It Up? And you can look around your schedule and be like, hey, I'm off Friday. I want to go there and jam a Kiss song, or, you know, Aerosmith or whatever they're jamming that night.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of friendship, a lot of camaraderie, a lot of getting along. Never been any drama. Never, you know, and I've been on 4 of them. Never seen any arguments. No band members bitching about why are they playing there and we're not? How come they're running late? You know, why are we sets shorter than theirs? Like, nobody's doing that. And if anybody does, I never saw it. You know, It was all good.
Right on.
No.
Well, Stevie, what's coming up with you? I know your never-ending travels seem to keep coming. What's next for you and Metal Sludge and everything else?
Nothing for me for the next foreseeable month and a half in the way of shows. It's about 2 months from right now. I'll be in Ohio. We're doing a couple of shows on the week of May 19th and 20th.
Okay.
In your neck of the woods, you know, Billy's coordinating some dates.
Okay.
You know, Billy's the king of Cleveland, you know, the king of Northeast Ohio. So we're going to do a couple of dates up there. And it's actually going to be the debut of our new secondary substitute second string guitarist, Dougie Licks Manross.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, I know him.
Right?
I know him.
Yeah. So Dougie's actually jammed with us one time. God, it might have been 10 years ago. You know, he might have been like 15 at the time, 14 years old. He got up and jammed a couple songs with us. But Billy isn't always available to do every show. We have used Howie Simon here and there, who's also great, like doing West Coast stuff. But Billy, as we know, has got 3 kids. He's married. He's doing his own band, a food truck. He's got 20 things going on at once. There's a couple of dates that he couldn't do coming up in the summer. So we decided to bring in Dougie, and we're going to warm him up and do some rehearsals with him, play together with him in May and June at some events that Billy can't do in June. But when we play in May, Tuff is going to play with Dougie on guitar, but we're actually playing with Billy's band. Meaning Billy Morris Band is going to play and Tuff's going to play, but Billy won't be in Tuff for that weekend. That's Dougie's test run.
And that's near me?
Yeah, we're going to do the local bar. I believe it's Friday the 19th. And then on Saturday the 20th, we're doing that theater called I can't think of it now. It's some theater downtown. There's some
downtown Cleveland, or
say it again.
Downtown Cleveland?
Yeah, I think so.
Like the Masonic Temple or something like that.
The temple. That's it.
Masonic Temple. Yeah. Okay.
Some kind of event that's being put together by a promoter with Billy Morris Band and Tuff, probably some other locals. And then in June, we're going to go to Wisconsin. We're going to play Waterfest with the mighty Hairball. Have you guys ever heard of Hairball?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen them?
I've just seen videos. I haven't seen them, but they look
Erik,
awesome.
Have you seen them?
Yeah, and Steven sat in with them before. Sometimes they'll have famous singers come in.
So you saw them live?
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing show, huh?
Yeah, they do the whole deal, the whole old school 80s deal with their kind of Steel
swapping
Panther, right? I
costumes
mean, I'd say in a way.
Yeah. And they draw massive people in the Midwest. I mean, they're based out of Minneapolis. And I don't know if you guys know this, but that band was started by the singer of Slave Raider.
Oh, wow.
Chainsaw Kane started that band before even Metal Shop started. Like he started that like in 95, 96.
Oh, wow.
In Minneapolis. And but yeah, they've built that brand. So, you know, the Dakotas, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin.
Oh,
they put all kinds of big summer events and
huge stage show they put on, and fire and pyro and shit.
So we're doing a show with them and a couple other club dates around that area. But yeah, my foreign stuff isn't, you know, I'm done for a while. I just did Brazil, Australia, and Thailand all within 3 months. All great, amazing to go to all these places, but it was back to back, and there was Ohio in between, and Christmas and New Year's and our daughter's birthday and all that. It's been a crazy couple of 3.5, 4 months. So I'm kind of happy to just kind of chill for a few weeks and update Metal Sludge and sell some swag and some stuff online, you know?
Right. And piss off Don Dokken.
Feel the sludge.
Nice. Well, Stevie, man, it's always fun having you on, man. I think we are going to wrap this one up just because my arm is officially screaming for me to stop. So I'm still dealing with this stupid nerve thing in my arm, and it is fucking biting right now. So
sorry to hear that.
I'll live. You know, I've been
thanks
through
for
worse.
coaching me on Monsters of Rock, Stevie.
Erik, I'm telling you, it's awesome. Everything about it is great, and you'll have a blast. And other than that, go buy some new Tough.
You think you're tough? Whenever we have our set list and we play "You Think You're Tough," we always write it like that. TUFF.
Right. And of course, there's the What Comes Around Goes Around on vinyl. I've got a few pieces of vinyl now on RLS. I've been doing CDs since '94. We did CDs and cassettes and even VHS, and then that turned into DVDs, and now it's come full circle to, you know, start to put out some vinyl through the RLS. We're going through the catalog and pulling out select titles that are worthy of a vinyl release. And they can find them on the store at Sludge or toughcds.com. Of course, I'm on all different social networks, Stevie Rochelle, Stevie Tough. I'm, you know, eBay, Amazon, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all there, you know.
Very good. Well, we'll just send them to metalsludge.tv. That's the easiest place to find all the good stuff. So, Stevie, it's been fun. Eric, it's been fun. And I think we're going to wrap up with a little Tough. We'll play a little bit of the all-new generation. So, Stevie, thanks so much for joining us here on Chris Akin Presents.
Chris, thank you. Eric, good seeing you. We'll be in touch, guys.
All right.
All right,
Peace,
Stevie.
man.
Take care, brother.
Talk to you later.
All right. Bye. Hey, everybody, it's